guys can keep talking then. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're live. How's it going, everyone? How's it going, Martin? See many of the usual suspects in chat, which is great. Drifting Bunnies, good to see you. So we have and Kryn. Wow, I remember kids graph bad.
True story.
Just causes drama.
Yeah. Let us know how the audio levels are, guys. We didn't get a chance to go through a full check today, running a little bit behind, but welcome to another episode of Audiophiles Anonymous. This time with the illustrious Antdroid, world famous for what? You're world famous for?
Wait, it's reversed.
For a number of
I
things,
don't know.
I imagine.
Not really.
The gold planar measurements and impressions that you're not wearing, and the rest of us are.
Oh, I have
Who's wearing them?
Oh, right. Okay. All right, I'll turn myself up. How's that? You guys hear better? It's a bit finicky. This. Oh wait, did I? I think my mic was not. I think my mic was in left channel only or right channel only. All right.
Right side only.
I think this should be better now. How are you guys doing? How was your week?
Last week kind of sucked, man. Like, I don't know why. Like, for me, anyways, it was just like one of those just not bad, but not fun weeks.
Is it because our government was trying to be overthrown last week?
Maybe
or
that's
something?
what it was. There was like this weird cloud of just.
I don't know. I went snowboarding last week, so I had a great time. Besides the government overthrowing thing.
and just so people are aware, I am. Oh, come on.
Oh yeah, Tyler's in the chat.
I'm on the chat that way, so you don't hear the clicky clacks.
Yeah. Actually, you can probably type now because you're not the one streaming this. So I think you're actually good to type.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me. That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. So you went snowboarding. Where'd you go snowboarding?
Stevens Pass. It's in the Cascades in I don't know, maybe an hour east of Washington.
I only really know about
Seattle. Sorry,
Mount Rainier, which is like near Seattle. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about an hour south of Seattle or so. There's actually a ski resort right next to it called Crystal Mountain.
Oh yeah, okay. I know Crystal Mountain.
It's a bit far for me to drive normally.
Yeah. I've actually been to Crystal Mountain, I think. But yeah, Mount Rainier is gonna one day explode, and everybody's gonna be sad. But it's actually really cool. Like on a clear day in Vancouver, when you're driving in certain places, if you look towards Seattle, you see Mount Rainier. It's pretty awesome.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but I mean that happens once in a blue moon because it's never a clear day in Vancouver.
Like on a clear day, driving up, I think it's at 101, see the sky.
Yeah,
that's like one of the most beautiful like drives I think around.
Yeah.
Driving from like Vancouver up to Whistler.
Yeah, it's really nice up there. Actually, the drive from Vancouver to Seattle on one of the routes is really nice.
I-5.
No, there's two routes. One of them sucked, and the other one was amazing. And I remember being like, "Whoa, the difference." I think it's like the main route is good. So probably that. I see.
What is the best over ear? So I have an audio story about snowboarding this past couple weeks.
Okay, let's go for it.
So
open back headphone.
So I guess for the most part, I've been snowboarding with Apple EarPods in my ear. And just for anyone who uses Apple EarPods, they're not the best sounding thing, but if you take earbud foam and stick it on top of your EarPods to make it look like a normal earbud, they sound much, much better. So that's a quick trick. So I've been doing that for a long time. And then prior to that, my old helmet, I took an old Burn Baker helmet from like, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago. They had in the liner, they had a built-in speaker system, but I think because of the way it goes around your body and then the temperatures, it always snapped. The speaker or the wires always snapped in it, so they got rid of it. And then more recently, motorcycle helmets, the snowboard helmets have had inserts available in the earmuffs. So I was looking at what to buy for them, and all the ones that are made for snowboard helmets are like $200.
Right.
And I just took a pair of Koss KSC 75s, took off the ear clips and stuck them in there, and they were perfect. Like, they sounded great, and you could still hear outside, and
Wicked.
it was pretty enjoyable.
It's been a long time since I've been snowboarding, and it's only because I've been cursed with weird feet, so I can never find, boots that fit right, and then inevitably I end up just like having to do up the bindings way too tight, and just like crushes my feet.
You need to get a custom heat shrunk boot liners.
Exactly. Yeah. Never mind.
We started doing that for snowboards.
Heat shrunk cables. Let's go with heat shrunk boots.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah. I just saw in the chat someone said, "Wow, Tyler's rocking a Hi-Fi Man headphone." Turns out that's not a Hi-Fi Man headphone at all. That is oh, I think you're muted, Tyler. Yeah.
Same, but different. But still the same.
It's not the same.
The same, but different. But still the same. Yeah. It's funny because this is kind of, I think, a good indication.
You're rocking them too.
Yeah. Well, so they're different though.
They're different.
Even more same, but different. Because if you look at Tyler's, that is the single-sided one. It's technically
you can tell because
Antdroids.
the grills are different too.
Yeah.
And yours are more silver.
And these ones, they're more silver, and then also you get these gold bars, right?
It makes it better.
You guys can see with the gold bars. So this one is definitely, the gold bars one is the double-sided one, and then the one Tyler's rocking there is the single-sided one. Now,
not a fan.
Your take is that you don't like them. Ant's take.
Pros, they make sound.
Yeah.
And then the cons are they make sound.
Yeah.
And I'm sticking with it.
That was that's why I thought they were better than the Cesvara too, because I haven't heard them yet, so they don't make sound for me. But these I have heard, and they make sound.
Oh, you mean the double-sided ones? Yeah.
Either one.
Because they're better than the Cesvara because you haven't heard the Cesvara.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I'll do a video on these soon, but the bottom line is that there is some serious hyperbole going on as far as the impressions go, and some of the reviews that are out there. It's not that this is bad, it's just that it's not the crazy hyped up thing that people are excited about. So at least the double-sided one, I can't comment on the single-sided one. But it has the same advantages that planars have, but it also has the same disadvantages that something like the Sundara has, or it's probably the closest to the Sundara as far as technical performance goes. So still good at instrument separation and stuff like that. But it has this same kind of consequence of fairly hazy mids. At the Sundara, you don't mind because it's $350, but at it's like 600 and something for these. I would probably go with an Ananda instead. It's just
yeah.
I like Bitter Buffalo's comment. I see ugly headphones. I think Hi-Fi Man. What can I say?
What?
I don't know. I kind of like the way these look, and they're comfortable. These are a little heavy. I think that also is because the double-sided ones, because they're double-sided, and the build feels reasonable. Like it feels pretty good.
Oh, they're very comfortable.
I think the build's pretty good. Yeah, decent. Yeah. They're not horribly. They're comfortable enough.
Comfortable. Yeah. So I got no problem with the ergonomics. Like
force,
I would way rather. I'd way rather wear these than the Ananda, because the Ananda doesn't have cup swivel, which kills me.
Oh yeah. The one issue I had,
pretty minimal, but it's better than
The one issue I had with the one that Tyler's wearing is I have a smaller head, so when I wear like the Hi-Fi Mans, I'm like on the lowest notch or one of the lowest notches. And that one, I feel like the cups end like right here for me, which is really uncomfortable, and then it's hitting the top of my ear because it's too big.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people who are here for like gold planar impressions, but like it's probably worth, I think, like that the bottom line for this whole gold planar thing is that like this is an exercise in being patient as far as like the hype train goes, and not necessarily jumping on the flavor of the month stuff. it's not it's an expensive headphone, like, and the suggestions that it's better than every single Odyssey headphone is just false. I don't know what else to say. Oh yes, and this is the other one that I am way more excited about. I mean, that's the same price basically, right?
This is the same price.
The same price. I don't know why. I mean, actually, I think it's sold out now.
Yeah, I think they sold out.
It was sold out.
It was
right
available.
I could click buy.
It was available yesterday.
I think it sold out yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, sold out yesterday. Okay.
Yeah. Because I was so tempted to get it, and then I was like, it's like $1,000 Canadian because it's like around 700 US, right? So
it'll be available again.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
I need to steal Ants before I decide if I even want to even attempt.
That's a good idea.
If you can take it from me.
You are to Antdroid what I am to Terran, you know?
Actually, kind of, yeah. Somewhat. I'm kind of like the scraps, but I give back. He had the Odin. I gave him the Odin. And,
okay. Well, pretty soon I'm gonna be sending Ant the panda. The drop panda.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I was thinking about this, by the way. The panda, why it was called the panda and not black and white kind of thing. I think it's because it's the panda ears are black, right?
That is exactly what they did. I'm very confident that's why. Okay. It's funny because like I googled panda because I was thinking to myself, is this, am I crazy? But if you look at the panda, I was thinking like maybe there's like black like colorations, like not just for the ear but for the side of the panda, like the side of their head, but it's not, it's just the ears. So I think that's that's why. Still, it doesn't work. Like, I don't think that works.
Throwing names at it now.
Yeah,
Set a dartboard.
I'd be curious what your thoughts are, Tyler, on the panda as well.
Oh yeah, I'll steal it from Ant when he's done with it, maybe.
Yeah. Actually, so I gotta say, like, Massdrop, or I should say Drop, they've been awesome about this as well. Like, as far as like, I mean, obviously it sucks if there's a negative review, but they were very like, yeah, cool, man, sure. Like, they didn't seem to care. So I gotta give props where props are due. And you don't always expect that as a reviewer. There's often a lot more sensitivity to that kind of stuff. But they seemed super chill about it. So, yeah.
That's really good. Ant is wearing the CD900 ST, or
yes,
yeah, ST.
Which I will say, given this week's past drama in the audio world, these are really hard to measure. Really hard to measure.
You know what else is hard to measure?
Stop measuring. That's my answer.
Radiance and the Elegia are both really hard to measure.
Really?
Really.
They're like, huh.
I've actually
how much of it is like pad, like the pad difference,
so
and then
I
also
figured out why.
force.
I figured out why. So I actually had to switch up my whole measurement system, like setup for the radiance, because so normally I have it sort of sitting on the desk, right? And then I use I put like blocks underneath to ensure the clamp, right? But with this one, I had to use these blocks and mount the measurement rig to the side, have it go upright. And I realized the reason for this is because of the spring, partially because of the spring-loaded kind of action here. It needs to be the same way that it would be if it were on your head to actually get the sound to be right. And then also the amount of clamp dramatically changes certain treble frequencies. So I'm gonna need to play around a little bit more with the radiance for more measurements of it. For second, Ant, I thought that was the 7506.
Oh,
but they do look similar.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised how I hate on-ear headphones. Like, it's just one of the things. Just like I'm not big on IEMs, but those are actually surprisingly comfortable for on-ear. Like I was.
Are they on-ear fully?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, they're shallow. The pads
they're
are like
their pads are like just say
on-ear for most people, but
if your ears are like literally like flat to your head and kind of mold backwards, then you probably call them over ear.
Yeah. So how do you like those?
They're okay. I think they're more comfortable than I thought.
Tyler. I remember Tyler was into them.
I don't want to offend too many people. I think they do. So I listened to a few songs with these, and I think they're kind of hazy for certain music. They're very dark. So it's really anti-Antony. sound signature, but they do female vocals pretty well, and I think that's kind of a standout feature. And I think that's what Tyler and DB mentioned was the feature, and they do that really well.
So wait, what is this? I mean, you mentioned they're dark. What's sort of the characteristic of female vocals that
so
better? Like,
it has well, if you look at the graph, it's like literally a straight triangle.
Oh, so it has ear gain. So it's not dark in that sense. It's dark in the treble sense.
It's basically, it's got no ear gain between 1 and 3. It's just 4 to 5, and then nothing else, and it just drops off a cliff.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's all about the vocals with those for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. And Tyler, you also had that other Sony thing. Do you still have that? The
ZH, the amp?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can show it. I have food on there. So speaking of food from the, I don't know if I can get this to pop out the. Sorry.
There's a real panda. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I do have a Hey,
you gotta put the panda on the panda.
It's right there with my.
That looks delicious. Man,
and
now I'm hungry.
Other baked goods.
Yeah. Oh, baked goods sound amazing right now. I just started getting back onto keto, and just to try and lose the COVID-20.
Yeah, I'm
or COVID-30 at this point.
Much, man. We're actually, after the show, we're actually heading to I don't know what you call it, like a warehouse for exercise equipment. Yeah. And I'm looking to get a rowing machine again. So hopefully I can get back on that. Some rowing action.
Nice. I could see it. Yeah.
I mean, I used to river raft as a kid. My mom was a manager at an outdoor adventure company, so we went river rafting all the time, kayaking and all that jazz.
I love going like river. Well, I don't know about river rafting, but like kayaking and boating and stuff on a river. On a lake, I get bored. But
yeah, I did the Tetons, sea kayaking the Tetons, and that was not the funnest.
Sea kayaking sucks. I don't know. I've never enjoyed it, and eventually your arms get tired, and you just you just go the same like direction for a while, and there's just nothing like.
I did go sea kayaking in north of Vancouver Island with killer whales.
Okay,
and that was badass, terrifying because you're in the sea kayak that's like 20 feet long, and all of a sudden this 6-foot fin pops up like 7 feet from you, and you're like, "Whoa, that's big!" Then you look down and go, "Oh."
Yeah, that would be terrifying. Yeah. Plus, north of Vancouver Island, that's
it's
cold.
Yeah, that is not.
It's fun, and then you can get the big sea kelp, and if I always have a knife, and you chop the kelp, and then you chop the bulb off the top of it, and if you it turns into a giant trumpet. You can go, and it echoes all throughout the island. It's pretty fun.
Oh man, I think it's like Port Hardy or something up there, or Port. Port something.
Yeah, all throughout the islands. We go camp on the different islands and watch the pods that orcas go through, and and then at night it was super cool because you could throw the water's so cold and crystal clear that the bioluminescence you kind of little kayaks late at night in a little bay, and you'd throw rocks into the water, and it would look like shooting stars. The bioluminescence, or the fish would look like little shooting stars. It's really cool.
Wicked.
Really cool.
I need to go on a trip out there sometime, but not at this time of year. It's definitely not.
And I just had this discussion yesterday. I was like, I think we're opposites. Like I prefer to be warm and cooled off, and he's like, I prefer to be cold and warmed up.
Yeah, it's easier to bundle up than to walk around stripping naked.
Because when you're cold, like bone cold, no matter how much you bundle up, you're still just like,
you can have heating pads if you need to.
We got way off topic. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say I used to spend a lot of time working on that coast of Vancouver Island as well, and every time I went out there, I was miserable because it was just raining and cold and it's beautiful, right? But I hated every second of it.
Like, look how pretty. You're like, yeah, cool.
yeah. Well, and also I was part of a film crew, so I had to be up at like crazy early hours to get the best, sunlight and stuff like that.
Than being cold, wet, tired.
Yeah.
And having to work.
To be alert, right? And to be like focused. Yeah. It was all of those things. Yeah. And for weeks on end. So.
Yeah. Ugh.
Anyways, back to the subject of headphones and audiophiles and
that's
audiophile addictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I were just talking about like that's kind of on the radar. Like there's not really.
Oh yes, there is though. Yes, there is, and it is.
That's right. The G Buds Plus too.
That, but then these are. Should I do with these? These. Big thanks to Zeos for giving the community these, but yeah. So these are
Luna.
No, wait, Ant, you have them as well?
Yeah, right. No, I don't. They're just right here.
Guys, if you don't know what this is the Dunu.
You stole them from your screen, and
yeah, you just I couldn't see.
Yeah, we should do that as
We're
like
all
a,
actually
little,
the same
a magic
room.
trick.
You guys didn't know.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna pass them over to Antdroid.
Oh. How did these get here?
That's amazing. Yeah, what do you think?
They are. I don't think there's anything really wrong with them. I think they sound good. They have good. I think the only thing I don't like about them, I guess I'll start there. The only thing I don't like about them is they're a little too forward. I think they lack a little bit of depth.
Interesting, but
see, that's really about it.
Compared to the Illumination, though,
I haven't heard that.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say what I liked about these is for all the single dynamic driver IEMs that I've heard, this has better depth and layering because all those Moondrop ones have like no center image whatsoever, and these ones seem to have it.
I was listening to Odin right before this. So.
Oh yeah, no, Odin's got way more. Yeah,
you ruined your own ears on that one.
Yeah,
I know. I've ruined my ears for everything at this point.
Yeah. My complaint, I guess we're going with complaints, is that this has a 8.5K peak, so it's a bit of an uneven treble response. So it's like 6.5K is withdrawn, 8.5K is boosted, and then the upper treble is also subdued, right? So it's just not a very smooth treble. But the thing is, this is one where like that 8.5K peak has to be there with the rest of the tuning, because if it's not there, it would sound too forward in the upper mids, like too like shouty. So I think it's like kind of like one of those lesser of two evils like decisions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the detail of it. Like I think I would, and the slam and the physicality. Like I think, I'm just sort of giving away the review that's coming out on Monday, but I think I would still take the Monarch and Clairvoyance over it, and maybe even the SA6, because I think all of those are like the tuning is a little more well refined, but for technical performance, I actually prefer the Zen over all of them. Like it's just there's something about dynamic driver IEMs that I appreciate. Like I like it better than that sort of BA lifelessness. I don't know how to describe it.
It definitely has a more natural sound.
Yeah.
More coherent because there's only one driver. I think the mid range is better than the other ones you mentioned.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the bass is definitely more impactful. And
bass is
it feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only issue I have is the treble sometimes peaks out, and I don't. It's not terrible, but it is there.
Yeah.
That was good nitpick, and then again the lack of depth and imaging compared to some of the multi-BA stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like compared to the Monarch, the separation and imaging isn't as good. But I think again, compared to Illumination, which is like, I think that it's like those two, right? Illumination and Zen are like around the same price. I think there's $100 difference. And
I hear this was made as a answer to the Illumination.
No, I think it is a good answer, because the Illumination has better treble, but this has better bass and mids, or at least better bass and like lower mids and mids. I think the upper mids on the Illumination are a little better, like maybe like 3-4K is a little more relaxed there. But the tuning is still better than the Luna, I think, on the Zen. Like it's still
for sure.
more like versatile.
I would take this over the Luna.
Yeah,
easy.
Actually, I was thinking about it. Even when I was doing my review, actually, I filmed it all yesterday, so my impressions are already done. But I was thinking, like, out of all of those dynamic driver IEMs, Illumination, Luna, A8000, and Zen, and I know there's the Campfire one as well, but that doesn't really count.
JVC, I haven't heard them.
No, I haven't heard that either. No.
Okay.
But of those like the like hyped up, I guess, single dynamic driver IEMs, the Zen is my favorite. But also, like, if I weren't going to EQ anything, I'd probably still take the Illumination. Like, if I was just to never touch, like, if I was just only portable, probably still the Illumination. But for the bass and for the mids, man, like, the Zen is, the hype is real for the Zen. At least to my ear. So hyped to hear the Dusk. I'm on the list somewhere. Sorry, Ant, I forgot it. What was your take on the Dusk?
I have not heard it.
You've not heard it. Okay.
It's dusky.
I should see about sending you ours. I think it's with it's with Taryn right now. So he gets to enjoy Crin's.
So I'll get it in like 2 years.
Yeah, actually, he's got the SA6 as well. So we actually did the opposite, where he took all the good IEMs from me.
He still has my my News from.
Oh, like, yes, no, I have one of them. I think and he's got
2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, he's got one of them. I've got the other, and then I think I still have one of your cables. I think.
Yeah, whatever.
That's gonna make its way back to you. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else you guys? I still haven't fully read your Odin review, so if you could give us the Cole's notes.
Very sweet.
I know you like it. So. Sorry, guys. Empire Ears Odin. Empire Ears Odin is the flagship. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote a shill review, which is something I normally don't do, typically, and I decided to write it about candy. As a joke. Okay. So the review I just posted on I posted on Headphone yesterday finally. Okay. See if I can get a front page, because I'd never gotten a front page before. But so I got a lot of fan mail recently over like the Empyrean and some other reviews that people
I've seen that. Yeah, fan mail is a good way of describing that. Yeah.
People saying I'm too technical on my reviews and whatnot, and talk too much about graphs. And then then I decided, why not just make a review that's completely opposite of that? But then I kind of backtracked or went back and forth between two. So I decided to write I guess a mockery of an audiophile review using Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as the backdrop and talking about candy.
That's amazing.
So I reviewed a bunch of candy bars as well as the Odin in my recent review.
Which was more sweet?
Well, so I compared the Odin's base to Kit Kats, and as opposed to Butterfingers and weird Milky Ways are like one of my least favorite, and the Odin is not a Milky Way bar because it's not mushy and weird and disgusting.
I don't think I've ever had
like
a
Musketeer bar, maybe.
We don't have. We don't get. Nice
that's right. It's a Three Musketeer. That's right. Three Musketeer is what it is. Yeah. But if you bite into a Kit Kat, it's got like multiple layers of wafers and crispiness, and it's like
a green tea one or something.
I love a good.
Yes, the green tea ones. Yeah, the green tea one represents the amount of money that you need to spend to buy the Odin.
Oh God.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the whole thing. The Odin is probably my favorite IEM I've listened to, and I don't think there's much of a contest after that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I have the Viento and I have the Mest, and after listening to the Odin for a few days, I had to like put it away and just see if I could listen to my other IEMs again, and it was challenging.
Yeah.
And then I tried to give the little honeymoon phase, or try to get rid of the honeymoon phase and come back to it like a week later, and I still liked it after that. It does something that I think is pretty different than most IEMs on the market. So, and I think that's having a reference sound without having the reference like edginess or that BA timbre type thing going on. Where only other IEMs I've heard that from are like the Visioneer VE8 and the Earl Koenig, which are also in the same price range as this one. But they're more very warm, very laid back. So you have that kind of mask a lot of the edginess. Whereas the Odin has a very reference sound, actually elevated treble, and it sounds super smooth, and I think that's like the magic component for me.
Yeah. Very see, I'm the same way. Like, I think I find U12T is a little more versatile because it's a little more relaxed there in the upper mids. Yes. So for, I don't know, for like some of the rock stuff I like to listen to, you know, it's a little more forgiving.
Yeah, it is.
But whereas the Odin, I agree, it's the more reference kind of sound, and it's the one that I'm like so happy that Empire Ears finally made, because all our other tunings are not at all like that. So
yeah, if I looked at the graph of the Odin, and that's what, you know, I looked at the graph early on when Critical posted it. I think he was the first person to post it, and I looked at it and I was like, oh man, how's this why is everyone raving about this? All the Singapore guys are like raving about this thing, and I'm looking at the graph and it's like, that doesn't look good at all.
It's a little like
it's
bloomy
weird
there in the like mids, like the distance between upper mids and lower mids, and
yeah. But then when you listen to it, I can kind of hear that upper mid, like
it's right on the edge, like it's just a tiny little bit of like flare there, but not bad.
Yep. Yes, there's driver flex. Critical. I definitely had driver flex with the Odin. I think
what is driver flex?
Like you put it in, it has that kind of
sound.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's got double woofers too, so that probably doesn't help.
Right, yeah. Actually, so on the subject of tribrids, there's a number of impressions of the popular tribids right now being the Monarch and the Clairvoyance, and the discussion of like the E-stat timbre and the E-stat or electret or whatever that the fake E-stat
EST
performance is. What's your take on that?
I don't know. I think it's very subtle. I think the Odin really shows off that capability pretty well.
Yeah.
But I think some of the other ones don't really, I can't really tell that it's there as much. But I think that one, and then also the Visioneers, what's it called? Elysium, I think. Those are the two that I actually think makes a difference, where the treble has a more kind of E-stat sound. It's not quite like a Stax or anything, but it's got a lot more faster response and smoother treble.
Right. Okay. Because I know Kryn doesn't like the Sonyan E-stats. And I know a couple other people who are really bothered by it as well. There was that one list by, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was on Headphone where he's like, it was like his name and then his like hates headphones or something, or like says everything is terrible, and he just basically said everything sucks.
Animus.
Yes, that's the guy. Yeah, and he really does not like that.
Well, he doesn't like a lot of things.
He doesn't like most things. Yeah. He's a bit like Max settings in that sense. The sort of but no, I am not somebody who's really bothered, at least from the ones that I've heard with these tribrids like Monarch, Clairvoyance, and also the Odin, where I think the Odin does it better, but the Odin is also like super smooth. So like maybe that kind of is part of it, but but yeah, I'm not as bothered by it. I know Kryn doesn't like it either, the E-stat sort of sound, but I just find I'm not, as long as the energy is right. It's like I notice BA timbre and I'm really bothered by that, and that's why I like the Zen, because it doesn't have that.
Well, I think part of the problem is a lot of companies are just dumping it in there just to have them in there and not necessarily using them correctly or making them stand out. And I think that's part of the problem, and they're not cheap. I think they're like a couple $100 a driver.
Oh really?
So you're adding a ton of cost to something that probably isn't really performing like it should.
I really would prefer, again, I'm not as bothered by the E-stat stuff, but if you compare the U12T's upper treble, like the U12T has some really nice upper treble as well. So I wonder why people or why companies would choose to do the E-stat thing instead of like the tubeless kind of stuff that 64 Audio does. But That's something that just I'm not sure why.
Marketing. You can charge
probably
more.
yeah. Tribrid sounds better than hybrid because tri is 3 and hybrid is only 2. Or
plus it's plus electrostatic. So
right. You can call it an E-stat and be somewhat accurate with that statement at best. Because it's not like that the one from Shure,
no,
which is like an actual E-stat. Sorry, we've been completely ignoring Tyler because we've been he's been really enjoying those gold planars. So I
was reading up on this Aureolus Tralil that thing, and so, wow, that's an expensive IM.
How much?
What?
Jeez.
Oh,
the Aureolus Tralili.
Okay. Is this another tribrid?
I'm not positive. Tonight it's a Japanese IEM. But yeah, and apparently it had a discount for $1,000 back in November.
and what? A discount to what?
To $5,000.
Oh, okay. Jesus. That's for a very specific group of people.
Yeah, that's a definitively very targeted.
See, but I have that sense even with I think Antdroid's going to agree with this statement, but I have that sense even with the Odin and the U12T. As much as they're my favorite, you're just shaking your head just because you don't even know what I'm going to say. No. But the Odin and the U12T, like they're my favorite IEMs. But at the same time, would I spend $2,000 on an IEM? Like or like $3,000 or 36 or whatever it is. Like I'd rather get an over-ear headphone. Like I think that the overall, like what you can get for $3,400 or whatever it is for the Odin in an over-ear headphone and an amplifier and that kind of setup is just better sounding. Like I think you can get more for your money with over-ear headphones. So I do like IEMs, but I think there's still some distance there until we finally get a solid beryllium driver IEM that has a really nice tuning.
I mean, if you are traveling, all the time, then sure.
Yeah.
Which I mean, usually if you're traveling, you're on planes, trains, and automobiles, and like
those are great.
That's where IEMs come in handy.
Well, or just get some AirPods Pro and some noise
AirPods
canceling,
Pro.
And
you could.
Then when you get to your place, you get your Cascades out, and you have some fun.
I mean, AirPod Maxes.
AirPod Max. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know why if anybody would. Like I think after a few hours of being on a plane, I would want to take them off. I would not want. They're not comfortable. Well, at least for me, people with big heads.
I just have to try them. I tried Ian's, like putting them on.
Yeah.
But
the Maxes.
Yeah, the Max. I know Taryn really doesn't like them either.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag with that statement. But he described them as tech phones, and I think that's a really appropriate term. So I included it in my written review.
We need him to send 1 to 4 of them down here so we can take a look.
Yeah, actually, we could probably send you this one at some point. Or if you want a different color, I know there's another color sitting around somewhere.
What color is that? Like I know people say it's pink, but it looks orange.
People
like
were saying it's orange. It's pink. It's pink, but what's
is it rose gold?
The case and the headband are more of a salmon color, and they're saying that is orange, which is true. But the cups are definitely pink. Like there's no.
Oh, they have that rose goldy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
that's rose gold.
That's where the pink comes from. It's not. I kept seeing it in the comments. People were like, "Wait, you got an orange one? Where'd you get an orange one?" It's like, no. Like this is pink. It's just
is there a purple one?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah. It is. It should be purple.
You know what company makes a purple
purple
True
headphone?
Wireless now? Yeah, Samsung.
I thought you were going to say ZMF. If ZMF could do a True Wireless. Tyler would be all about that.
Hey, that'd be pretty dope. I know. Well, he's working on that one new one that's under 1,000, but I'm not sure how that's going or not. So.
That has me so interested. I need to reconnect with Zach and ask him more about that and where he's at with that, because I know he was working on it last year at some point, but he said nothing was finalized, so he doesn't know what. It's more just sort of, I think, in the prototyping stage. But what was interesting about that is he was talking about aluminum magnesium as like the materials, and I imagine that it's also so like I recently went down like the rabbit hole as far as like dynamic driver, moving coil, driver anatomy, I suppose. Going into that, I'm not sure, Android, maybe you've seen it, but there was that wonderful post by Oratory on Reddit a long time ago talking about the different ways of doing dynamic drivers. And so he, described the ones from Sennheiser as sort of having that Varimotion kind of way of handling, treble and bass, where it's the same material just sort of stretched out. Then there's like, see if I can get this one without breaking anything. Then there's sort of the corrugated style, where the bass, like on this one here, where the bass, the outer, you guys can't see it, but the outer ring has this sort of the corrugations, and that's how you can get the higher excursion for bass, get the bass frequencies. That? Sorry, this is the Ultrasone Edition 15.
It's secret surprise out of bag. Resolve's favorite headphones.
Oh, are you gonna have a tile ultrasone type review?
No, they changed. This is a totally different tuning from those ones.
That's too bad.
They kind of went I know. They kind of went the opposite. I think this was a bit of a reaction to that. But yeah, so then there's the corrugated style, and then there's like what Focal does with NZMF as well, with the sort of completely independent surrounds. And now I've seen, so like this one here, it uses two materials, titanium for the center and gold for the outside, for the same reasons that stiffness and rigidity in the center that Focal has, stiffness and rigidity in the center, with different materials on the outside. But this is still just a coating on this one. It's a Mylar driver with a coating. So it seems like there's so much more going on now with, and people are experimenting more with dynamic driver transducers and you see this with like the IEMs and stuff as well, with Moondrop and the carbon nanotubes and all the rest of this stuff. So it makes me, that's just getting back to why I jumped on that tangent. I wonder what Zach's approach is going to be with that, and what type of driver it's going to be. If it's going to be like the Focals, or if it's going to be a pen-pet coating or something like that, like he's done with the Verite, or how he's going to approach that.
Probably that, yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to have them on again once they have time and have like another.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. That'd be sick. But yeah, I mean, it's. I know, like
it'd be kind of cool if it was unique, like if it was a new, like you're talking about, like a
totally new, yeah,
that would be cool.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is that there are advancements being made in dynamic driver tech, and we're seeing it. These days, it's also from stuff like the Zeus, the Harmonic Dyne Zeus, and stuff like that. Like that's a much less expensive driver in there, but it's just cool to see. I mean, that's another one that is, I think it's like beryllium coated or whatever, right? But that also uses a heavily corrugated style rather than the totally separate surround style.
I was supposed to give that back to him like yesterday, and
to who? Sorry,
was being the Zeus back to Ant. I have Ant Zeus as well, and I left it on the couch.
Actually, what were I missed your live stream on that. What was your take?
The Zeus I found to be kind of pulled back. It was good. It sounded good. It's just a pulled back listen. Like it's just a more relaxed listen. It had good technicalities across the board. I felt like it wasn't a bad. I actually liked it. I thought it was fine. And I was playing because everyone talked about how it's like the gaming headphone, like a really good gaming headphone.
Oh, I hadn't thought about it like that. But it does have soundstage, I guess. Yeah.
Really good soundstage. So I was playing Destiny 2 last night with it, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like that. It was pretty fun. So like with movies, I could see in gaming, it was really enjoyable. And it has enough that pulled back for gaming actually works, because it's not so like. Yeah. And then for music and everything, like honestly, it's a very capable headphone that just doesn't. It's not gonna have any one. For me, it didn't have any one main thing. Like kind of like the Sonys have that vocals, or like, oh, this is vocals, right?
Yeah.
Where it was just kind of just a good relaxed headphone. Like I could see listening to that and not really thinking about stuff. Kind of like the Legia. It reminds me of the Legia a little bit.
Right. Okay.
So like where it's just like it's there. It makes really good. It's technical. It's technically capable. It's just not something that's gonna be like hit me in the face.
Right. I unfortunately, mine has some noticeable channel imbalance in the lower treble. So I lent it to Taryn for the.
Taryn, have fun.
Well, I traded him for both the Helios and the Zeus are now with Taryn. So I'm not sure when he's going to get a chance to listen to it, but I should probably contact Lynn Soul and see if they can replace that. But what else? Should we dive into the chat and answer some questions, or what do you think?
There was a couple people asked about the wonderful Diana mess.
We should talk about that. Yeah.
Should we get spicy?
Well, okay, yeah. I think people sort of know my opinion on that already, but I don't know. Did you guys get a chance to read Jude's sort of response in the YouTube?
I did. Yeah.
What did you guys think?
I think, I agree with some of the stuff Jude wrote, and I also think that he probably should have made matching measurements to emirs to make it, I guess, apples to apples, not
like on the
like the THD stuff.
THD, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he did post that later though. He did post the THD stuff later.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but it just causes more drama if he didn't do it originally, because he posted the B&K and then the Graz FR measurements, but he didn't post THD. Yeah. I knew right off the bat, just reading the description, that there's going to be problems, because the very first paragraph Amir wrote was, I couldn't get a good seal, or something. I'm paraphrasing. Like I couldn't get a good seal.
Like sealing it like this too.
And then then the next sentence was, I had the pads on 90 degrees to each other.
Oh no.
And then I was like, okay, that's not a good start. And then
no.
And then there's I did some of my own measurements just to see what happens to your distortion if you get good seal versus bad seal using one of my headphones back there. And if you don't get a good seal, the harmonic distortion is like 5 to 10% higher automatically. Mostly in the bass range, but there's that.
Are you SPL calibrated? This was recommended by a Mad Economist, and this also is. So it calibrates at 94 and 114 dB.
124.
114. So 94 and 114. But it doesn't really matter as long as it's calibrated to one of them. You know what? Basically, it allows your SPL to be accurate. So you know what the actual THD is, rather than
approximation.
Yeah. There's a comment that I just have to highlight because it's pretty funny, but Marius Stark, they're referencing our gold planners. He said he ordered the double-sided one, and worst case scenario, I'll use it in his shop to retrieve lost screws and washers.
Jeez, that's pretty harsh. That's amazing. No, I think it's better. I think it's better than, I can see a reason to get the gold planar over the Sundara, but I can also see a reason to get the Sundara over the gold planar, right? Like, it plays in that realm, Antdroid can't. No, like
comfort wise, maybe.
Well, no, but also at least for the double-sided one, how the Aria has better depth than the Ananda when you listen to them side by side. Like the Ananda has actually a more agreeable frequency response, but the Aria has that extra sort of like layering and depth and forward presence. To a very small degree, the gold planar is like that to the Sundara. The technical performance is pretty similar across the board, but there's that extra sort of sense of layer and depth that the gold planar has that the Sundara does not. And I think part of that may be to do with the elongated cups. I'm not totally sure but yeah, that is generally my sort of like reasons to get this over the Sundara. I also think there are reasons to get this over the Ananda. But I wouldn't. The reasons to get this would be it has better physicality than the Ananda, better punch, better dynamics, but not much better. It's how like the Sundara actually has better punch than the Ananda as well. It's kind of like that, right? So it's about on the same level as the Sundara there too. Where like the reasons not to get this was that the Sundara's tuning is just better, flat out. The tuning, like the tuning with the I'm not sure the material of the pads I have them somewhere here. But the tuning with the perforated pads that don't come on it is really bad, like really weird sounding with this 5K peak. And then the tuning with these pads that are on it right now, which it's the default ones, is still weird, but not offensive. So,
are you getting the single-sided one?
I'm not gonna get a single-sided one in.
Okay, maybe we should send that one up to you.
Yeah. But
shoot up.
But yeah, right now, like at $600 or something like that this is. I think it's around 600.
650, I think. 600 on drop right now, but 650 regular.
I would get the Alex, which is pretty close to that price range. I would get the Ananda, which is pretty close to that price range. What else? How much is the
LCD?
GX?
LCD2?
LCD2 is $995 though.
Probably close. No, that's $900, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, LCD2 Classic is less expensive, but I think this probably competes maybe a little more closely with LCD Classic than the actual LCD2, which for technical performance smokes that headphone. So the claims that like this beats the LCD-X is like for people who didn't realize that the LCD-X is a headphone that you need to EQ. You know, like, the frequency response is probably better than the LCD-X, but there's no way that this competes even closely with the detail. Like, it's not on the same level. Like, it's not even a small percentage of that. But yeah, I think I'll have a review of this soon. Maybe after Ant wants to send me or Tyler wants to send me the single-sided one. Sorry, what we were talking about something else.
I forget.
Okay, let's. The Abyss drama.
Oh, Abyss drama, yes.
Yeah, I was a little bit saddened that they didn't reach out to me for the third-party measurements.
Someone asked, yeah.
What's that?
Headphones. It was like, someone send this to Resolve to measure.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, no, it would have been nice because I did measure the Diana Phi and found that there were two common, because the measurements the frequency response does change depending on the positioning and everything, but there were two common results, and I think it actually like one of them. Oh, we lost Android.
I'm still here.
Okay.
My camera's gone.
Okay,
let me fix that.
Yeah. Android's taken on the drop aesthetic with the sort of all black, it's like
he's gone panda on us.
He's gone panda on us, yeah. I like that kind of look, man. That's
I'm with you.
The Panda is one of my favorite looking headphones.
It does look really nice. I can agree with that.
I like the sort of extra regular, like not too flashy, not too crazy. But
I mean, I have my moments. I like my flash ones at the same time.
Actually, and I like the way the Radiance looks too. I mean, it's more flash, but it's in a sleek way.
I'm sorry, but Focal makes a classy headphone, man.
They really do. Focal makes a classy headphone, absolutely.
I mean, even the Stellia one. Where's the Stellia? I have to my case, but even the Stellia to me, man, like that warm. I did not like the brown. Like, let's really, I'm not a fan of the brown. But after having it, it's like okay, it's like having, especially now that it's got my juices in it and it has that nice.
That is.
Like, I would never lend my Stellia out to anybody. I'm sorry. Anybody asks. Yeah. I'm a bald guy, like so.
I want them
but that doesn't. There's a factor like the Stellia definitely. It's like raw leather to some level where it just takes on.
Someone's gonna take a clip of that. Like, what is Tyler doing to headphones?
I'm canceled.
Oh my god! No more loaner tours from Tyler.
Well, usually I use like whatever, but the Stellia though, there was one specific day where it definitely was not a good day to wear it.
I want them to make like a I don't know, a different colored version of the Stellia. That'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, like if they did the Radiance with that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Anyways, back to the Abyss drama. I know why Anthony's laughing. So back to the Abyss drama. I just speaking about the measurements and the positioning and stuff like that. There's a bit of like a question mark there as to whether or not those, like the Diana Phi and the V2, whether or not those actually, if a seal is even desirable on them. So if you're measuring it without a seal, it's because like the way that they kind of hang when you're wearing them, they don't. It's not like even these
drape.
headphones, right? They actually, the whole thing kind of presses against your ear, and it goes all the way around your ear. With the Diana Phi and the V2, they kind of hang there because they don't actually have as much action going inwards. And this is one of the reasons why those older pads were uncomfortable as sin, because they would press into the top, right, too much. And because it was all one piece and it didn't have any actual action for the yoke to move inwards, the bottom part would never properly seal. Then contrast that with the DMS pads. The DMS pads did give it a better seal because the material at the top was taken out, and then you could definitely tell on the bottom it was better, like angled inwards.
Pressed
So
better.
Yeah, so I think that question is always going to be an important one for those headphones because, and I think people are going to sort of fall on either side of that because in some cases people are bound to get a seal, and in other cases they're not. So, and the question is, well, what's the intended behavior? And I don't really think there is necessarily a right answer to that.
Yeah,
but that also go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, isn't the 1266? That's meant to not have a full seal.
That's meant to, exactly. You're supposed to go back and forth and find the right thing,
Yeah.
right? So I think because that question is a relevant one, even for just people who are buying that headphone and just using it and they're not measuring it, it's one where the measurements there should probably be measurements of both, different ways of doing that, and then also as you said, like, distortion going up when there isn't a seal in general. I mean that's kind of expected then, in for what Amer measured, right? I don't think anybody should be all that surprised by that. But actually, the interesting thing about the Abyss drama is that I think it's yet another example that sort of underscores that THD isn't really all that important. Like, we see THD now in, especially second harmonic, in a number of different places where it is potentially audible. And, there's even people saying that, like, oh, the THD is... that's one of the ways that Abyss is able to get that sort of, I don't know, like somewhat interesting sound, interesting technical kind of sound, because there's an elevated second harmonic distortion. I'm not as convinced by that. I just think that THD doesn't really mean what people think it means. That's kind of where I'm at with that, because the detail on at least the Phi was outstanding. So, yeah. Anyways, that basically covers my take on the Abyss drama.
I can't speak on it because I haven't heard any of the Abyss stuff outside of like a Can Jam or so I don't really.
I will say that comparing the Phi to the V2, it was not close for technical performance. Like, the Phi was clearly better, and the V2 was warmer, not as crazy in the treble, but also not as technically capable. At least that's what it sounded like. But also, I mean, they should probably get a measurement rig in. Like, they're using, I think, a KU, whatever that KU 1000 thing. It's not
the Abyss guys.
Yeah, I think they're using something like that. I'm not sure, but
aren't they using DMS's, like whatever he has?
No, DMS has his own, which is the, as Kryn calls it, the gross, the
grassy,
the grass ass.
Grass ass.
The grass with 2 S's.
He has that too?
Yeah, he uses that. But
you have that,
but
right,
it works.
Dan?
Yeah, it's the same one you have, right? But it works with the compensation, right? Like, it's a pretty good.
It's okay. Yeah, I've been playing with. I spent the last couple of days taking Oratory's database and trying to line up with my own measurements.
Yeah.
And then Kryn gave me his own compensation, and it's okay. It's not. It's probably within 1.5 dB difference.
Way better than the mini DSP ears.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
a
way
fraction
better.
of the cost of a full proper cross. So yeah, that's good.
Someone has. Does it matter if high THD and high frequency? Sorry, Ant, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I bought originally with just one right ear, and just got a left ear in yesterday, and I've been trying to compensate the right ear to the left ear now, and that's not as simple, but it's off by about 0.5 dB or so.
Okay, yeah. I mean, were you just like turning it around before, or like how do you?
No, I never measured the left side. Yeah.
And for some headphones, it doesn't seem to matter, but for other ones, it really does.
Yeah, well, if you have angled pads, or if you have the teardrop shape hi-fi mix, that matters a lot.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question there, Tyler?
Someone was asking, does THD matter for high frequencies? Like, does it? Why does it matter? They're curious why.
It's a good question. I don't know. I think for a long time, THD was people would correlate it with detail or like technical performance or control and stuff like that. But there's so many examples of low THD headphones that don't perform as well as higher THD headphones. Like, not even just with not talking about like the point at which it's audible or the audible threshold, but like just if you look at the where the THD is on stuff, especially for second harmonic distortion, I don't think it's as strongly correlated with technical performance or detail as people used to think
it is.
Yeah, and there's been more information coming out now that kind of confirms this, that especially for second harmonic, it's not really that big a deal. I'm of the opinion that, I don't know, maybe Antdroid can fill me in on this a little more, but I'm of the opinion that there may be a correlation between elevated third harmonic distortion and what people describe as BA timbre, because that's a consistent thing that shows up with multi-BA IEMs, an elevated third harmonic distortion, and in many cases, like around the audible threshold. So
I haven't really looked.
Can you hear harmonic distortion?
If you're deaf? Probably not. Well, there's also all kinds of other weird behavior for BAs in general, and as far as distortion goes, like you'll see a elevated fifth harmonic distortion over the second harmonic, which is like not to the audible threshold, but it's just weird that happens. But yeah,
there's some other drama that someone just mentioned, kind of slightly. The L30. The
L30.
L30.
Yeah.
In fact, I've been dealing with a little
recall.
bit. Are they actually doing a recall now?
Yeah,
they did,
on all serial numbers past 2000 or something like that. I don't know the number.
Oh, wow.
Don't quote me on that. Actually look at the press release if you guys are watching this.
Yeah. Do the research. Look at
it's after a certain number is when they do the recall.
Yeah, that's something to be aware of as well. That's kind of terrifying. Like, God, that would be. But I guess, the only people, actually, I was going to say something spicy. Never mind. I'm going to hold back.
You can be spicy, yeah. That's what we're here for. We're here for the spice, man.
Yeah, this is anonymous, remember?
Yeah, you can share.
I am not. I was going to say, like, jokingly, I was like, well, it's okay, because all the people that use that are all using 600s anyways, and they're pretty resilient. HD6 series.
I think someone got their LCD i4.
I was gonna say someone else i4. Someone else was talking about losing like another really expensive headphone.
That's there were really bad. That's
it's like, first off, why are you? Okay, never mind.
But they weren't gonna replace, right?
I don't know.
As far as I could tell, they weren't gonna. Maybe they will now that they have officially recalled them.
Well, yeah, they might have to. There might be. Depends on the country you're in, and depends on the.
That's really bad if it's an i4. That's really expensive.
Yeah. I'd be pretty bad.
Oh my gosh. See, I have an L30 here. I should check the serial number, but it kind of throws a wrench into me doing a review of it. Because I can't be like, I recommend it, because it's fine, it's great. I do recommend it, unless it explodes. In which case, that's terrible.
Mine is like, I'm gonna try my L30 with my GL2000 when it comes in to see.
Actually, it's,
they were saying something. This is speculation. But they were saying, like, if you're in a high humidity climate and it's not a big deal, but you're dry because of electrostatic.
That's what the people saying. Like,
so turn on your humidifier.
And you touch. I was like, what the?
But wasn't it? Didn't somebody open it up and it showed that there was like the whatever protections that should have been there weren't there? I don't know enough about.
Yeah, I think it was missing some protection.
Yeah. So just a QC issue then, really. That
design really. I think it was a design thing.
Oh, design thing. Oh, so all of them have this, even the ones.
I don't know. I stopped following the thread, but
it's I don't know. $150 amplifier, whatever it is, right? I'm not like. I mean, it's terrible. This is a much bigger story, in my opinion, than like, anything else about it. But like,
Roxy Fox, he basically nailed it. He was like, why are you using like multi-$1,000 things? And it's like that chain, like.
No, I know why. I know why. Because objectivists.
Yeah, that's why. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's
the best measuring amp on the market. So.
It does not mean it sounds good. Like I'm sorry. Like,
the A90 is another good example of this. Where
I just sold mine.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I did not like that. I mean, the A90 is good. Like, it's good for what it is.
Is it?
But at the same time,
It measures well.
Measures well. Like I mean, I'm unfairly.
I haven't heard it, so I can't comment. But no, I have heard it. I heard it the other day when I was comparing it with the Rebel.
Yeah, which I hear the Rebel really. I hear that's
the Rebel's way more dynamic. The Rebel smokes the A90.
Isn't there some Rebel drama too? I heard.
Oh yeah, there's some Rebel drama, but I don't know enough about that story. That we're basically an audio drama show now. That's
yeah.
Look it up yourself.
We're the View. It's
a good thing that so much drama exists. Otherwise, we'd have nothing to talk about. No, the Rebel drama I think was more just to do with like whose design it actually is. I think it's to do with that. But I don't know enough about that story to like
really the R2R from Drop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, something kind of like that. Yeah.
Except. Yeah.
It's. I mean, I think it's It's a Ukrainian company, I think, or a guy from the Ukraine. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's something that it'd be interesting to get to the bottom of it. But at the same time, like the product is great. So whatever I wish they had different colors. I'm not as sold on the Slytherin green, but
well,
I like,
it matches your Andromeda.
They have a purple one. You can get purple. You've seen the purple faceplate one?
They make a purple one?
Very nice. Very nice.
They make a purple one?
I saw someone posted a purple. It could have just been a photo.
I think that's
painted it purple.
That's probably a GSX Mini. I'm assuming
it was a Rebel Amp purple faceplate, and I instantly was like, "Who do I know?"
Are you sure that wasn't a? Are you sure that wasn't a GSX? Because
maybe I was.
Head-Up makes different colors, and they make purple.
Maybe it was like a faceplate thing. Someone said you do like
it wasn't the whole amp; it was the faceplate.
It was just the faceplate of it. Yeah.
And then Flux also makes colored faceplates too.
I have to try some of those Flux Labs things.
I do too. I really want.
I think you should really do a Flux versus Rebel amp comparison.
Yeah,
I reached out to Flux at one point, and they didn't get a response. So, but I'm a nobody, so that probably makes more sense.
You're somebody. Well, you're anonymous, so you're a nobody on this show. I gotta say though, also for amps and stuff, this Kenzie.
That doesn't measure well.
I would imagine that it does. I would not be surprised if that measured well. It is perfectly neutral. There is nothing. I mean, if you use the high
second order harmonics.
Actually, it didn't change at all.
Oh, really?
Nothing. Like I could not find. The only thing that I found that was slightly different was filtered impulse response, but I don't know what the hell that stuff means. It's definitely doing something to the sound. It definitely sounds way different, but it is for tube amps. The frequency response was totally linear, unless I use the high impedance or high out. But that's more to do with the synergy with the headphones that I'm using, right? So with the Verite, it boosted the frequencies below 200 hertz by like 2 dB at most. So, but everything else was like identical. Like there was no difference in the distortion measurements. There was no difference in obviously I'm not measuring the amplifier. I'm measuring headphones on the amplifier. So there's definitely a limitation there. But yeah, I was surprised.
When are you going to get a tube amp?
Well, so that's kind of where I'm at right now is I'm deciding whether or not to get the Kenzie, because that thing is awesome. Like what it does with the tone. Or that's the other thing is the other one I'm
or a Nautilus.
So the reason
Nautilus,
yeah,
75
those are really
amp
expensive.
right there. It's also $10,000.
There's no way I could afford that. But no, with the only reason not to get the Kenzie, for my purposes, would be, I'm a reviewer, right? So I need stuff that can power a wider variety of stuff. And I think the limitation on the Kenzie, and this is the reason probably why they did the Kenzie Encore and Mogwai and some of these other amps, is that it's just not as powerful as you might need for an inefficient planar, right? So you wouldn't be able to drive a Susvara with that, for example, or any of those really inefficient planars, or maybe even some 600 ohm headphones. But obviously that depends on the sensitivity and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. If you need tons of power, I would probably go for the Mogwai or one of those other ones. So I'm kind of debating that question.
I also think if you wanted, like, if you were wanting to get into like monitors or like speakers.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah,
because they have speaker taps.
Exactly, other reasons. There's one other weirdness with the Kenzie, and it's that the like the outputs are on the back. Like they're behind the tubes. So you have to turn it around. It's really weird. But I think they also fixed that with the Encore as well. What is that?
I don't know. People are talking about this in the chat, so I just figured I brought it, opening it up.
What is that?
It's the honey amp deck.
Oh. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I did a unboxing, a live unboxing.
Be a super rare limited thing. Apparently, they're only making 300 of those things.
Oh, because of AKM. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, they can just make it with a
rarefied.
Yeah. And it would be better because ESS is better than AKM. Fight me.
Give me worth $1 million.
Well, it's better because the factory still exists.
Touche. Well played.
No, I firmly believe that ESS-based stuff without intermodulation distortion is better for a DAC than AKM. But there are all kinds of DACs with AKM chips that sound better than all kinds of DACs with ESS chips. So it's
all about implementation.
Exactly, yeah. It's not just
like I still want to hear the Matrix stuff because I hear that nothing but good things about that.
I could send this one down to you at some point.
I'm getting the LS50 metas.
Oh yeah,
next week. I'm excited.
I think Max just got the i3 Pro, which I'm kind of excited to hear his thoughts on.
What is that?
I don't like it. It's
Matrix. It's a little Wi-Fi streaming DAC amp.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Looks cool. Looks really cool.
Yeah. It's got a cool screen.
Mm-hmm. That's why it looks cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool screen is
pretty much. It displays album art, so yeah, that's all I want.
The Matrix, like the X-Saber Pro, is fantastic, but these days there are now a ton of other DACs out there that are way less expensive that also perform similarly for sound. So it's great, but I also think it's maybe a little more expensive than
what you need. You can get like a Bifrost too.
Well, so you could get a Bifrost too, but there's also like the SMSL SU9. There's this Sonkos thing. There's
RME. You get the RME.
Well, the RME's AKM.
RME's cheaper.
RME's AKM. So I'm just talking about like all the other ESS stuff that's implemented well. Because there used to be, I've talked about this before, but there used to be all these ESS DACs that were super glary and grating, and it is most likely because of the IMD hump. And the Matrix X-Saber Pro doesn't have it. That was the first one that I heard that didn't have it, and then I was like, oh my god, like this is all the benefits of ESS analytic sound without the grating kind of character. And then it's just like that implementation seems to have trickled down. I think not every time it's using that same chip, but most of the times it's been using that chip. It's been a much smoother presentation.
Which one is it?
I can't remember. It's like
9038.
9038, yeah. And the previous ones didn't. Like they were all implemented with a bit of a IMD hump there.
Well, the older ones were most of the ESS ones. I think that I had that glare sound was the 9018s.
That's right.
Yeah, the older ones. Yeah. The Con Cube, that thing has a really good ESS. Is that ESS? That is ESS, right? The more recent Con Cube.
Con Cube.
I don't use DAPs. DAPs suck. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, technically, it's like a desktop. I mean, the thing's massive.
But that would be useful. I would.
It is a 9038 Pro.
Oh, yeah, perfect. So that sounds great.
It does sound good.
See, the big boy of the Sonkos also uses the 9038, but it does have intermodulation distortion. Apparently, that's fixable. I'm not sure if that's like a firmware thing or what is going on there. I did a bit of reading, but I haven't fully dug into that. But there's a full size, big desktop Sonkos one as well. But this little one is fantastic, and it's only $200 or something. Well, it's $200 on sale, I think. So, yeah. Anyways, we should go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was actually going to say about the DAP thing. I would love a DAP that could function very well as a full like desktop DAC at the same time. Like a lot of them can do that, but what I found is that in many cases they don't charge
something.
They don't charge while you use them as a DAP.
I think the Con Cube you can with
that would be
XLR
good
right?
Because both the DX220 and the DX160, you can switch it into DAC mode when it's plugged in, but then it loses the ability to charge at the same time. So inevitably you run out of battery.
Which is a pain in the ass.
It's like what? It's so dumb.
I think my Low 2, this one,
does it?
Can it charges? I think when I'm using it as a DAC, I use it actually as a when I had the A90, I used this more as my desktop amp than the A90.
The A90.
Because this sounds better.
But ASR tells us that the A90 is like the best. So
they also said the Low 2s are really good too, though. So
they also said the X-Saber Pro is really good.
Yeah, so sometimes they're right.
Yeah, but it's just like
is right twice a day.
This is like being right. Well, I don't know. That's a different question.
Yeah. See, someone gave me a bunch of crap for saying that the A90 sounded smeared, and I think it was out of context. Because I was saying it had like this weird, I didn't want to say smeared exactly, but like compared to the Phonitor and the TT2, it just didn't, it had not as nice of a sound. And it had this, I didn't have a better word than smeared at the time. And so I got a bunch of flack for it.
It's not smeared.
Well, I mean, words are always our limit.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the subject of the Phonitor, I think the Rebel amp is more dynamic than the Phonitor as well.
I can believe that.
So, but the question there is like, is being more dynamic less transparent? Maybe, right? I think, and that's like that. This is why the whole philosophy behind ASR is misguided, because it's trying to correlate to an experience which is inherently imperfect. The notion that these, what all this various different equipment that measures perfectly is going to be superior for that experience, and that's just not the case. It's just false. So, and of course the other, I mean, I don't want to take ASR on right now, but the recourse there is always going to be, well, where's your objective proof that this is, this is part of the experience? How do you know it's not placebo? And unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that right now. The only thing that I will say though is that like there's a tendency, even like I've noticed this when having the Gross and everything, there's a tendency when you have the tools to measure something to emphasize what you're finding with those tools. And claim that this is exhaustive of the experience, that it's like saying I can measure this and this shows something, therefore this is all there is. And I think that's kind of I think it's just false. Because there's obviously there's a lot. I mean, maybe we can measure everything, but nobody's necessarily doing those correlations between the experience that includes things beyond just the synad and whatever else, right? So.
And you're always gonna have biases walking into anything, right? Like, so unless you completely shut off from the internet and the world, and somebody sends you something, like,
I'm not sure if you saw like the okay, so Amir definitely has biases for the DCA stuff, right? I saw a comment there. That's why I'm mentioning it. Of course, he recommends the Aeon RT, right? But what's funny is like if you compare an Aeon RT to a Focal Clear, and he didn't recommend the Clear. And I think there was another one, maybe HD 100S, he didn't recommend. There's a few that, if you compare the Aeon RT to any of those, the Aeon RT loses out. Like as far as, well, I'm not sure about the RT, but the Aeon closed, the closed back,
any of them,
they'll lose out pretty hard. Like as far as like, and I bet you could even tell like just with like not throwing shade at the Aeons, they're way less expensive, but like if you just do subjective comparisons, it's not close. So and I think most people would rather take the Clear or the HD100S or Headphone as for sound quality, like all these other headphones that didn't get recommendations. So there's definitely some bias there as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so I work in engineering, aerospace, but we obviously, my main job is to do testing and get numbers and validate numbers and stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can get a number, but that doesn't necessarily tell you everything. Like on an airplane, I can get the strength of some material,
right?
Or whatever. That's not going to tell me if the airplane's going to fly or not.
Right.
And I know they're testing at a system level with just the amp itself, but one test doesn't tell you everything that I need to know about the thing. That's why we do a billion tests and then we do a flight test campaign.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, I guess I don't know how well that relates to the electronics world because I don't really dive into that area, but there's a whole bunch of other variables that go along the way, like what headphone you're using,
right?
Stuff like that.
But I mean, that's
in your ears.
Yeah. Well, but I'm thinking like the more scientific approach is the one that takes a much broader look at, the correlation between experience and measurement rather than just the measurement. So, using the experience as a hypothesis, for example.
Plus, if you looking at just distortion, THD is one of the distortion
that's
numbers.
The other thing I know.
There's about 9 other harmonics that you can look at.
Yeah. Well, then on top of that, like someone asked, well, the ear is the interaction thing, but I guarantee you, my ear does not look like ants or results.
Yes, but that we've gone down this road before.
Yeah, this is.
And there's very good theory that suggests that different shapes to ears don't have as significant an influence because of custom unique HRTF, which makes perfect sense. Like, it's not to say that there aren't potentially differences, especially in extreme cases, because as I've learned, sound waves can take different paths to the eardrum. So if you have one ear shape could cause one path where that path doesn't exist for another ear shape, and that would probably lead to different perceptual qualities as well. But the overall gain factors are they're not going to be responsible because we're normalizing for those gain factors anyway.
I wonder how much of like maybe not the ear shape or size, but maybe like the ear hair that
no like all those other factors, like the biggest one, I think bigger than any of the other factors for why people have different impressions other than like different preferences and expectations, but I think is coupling. So especially for over-ear headphones, if your head is larger, you're getting a different clamp,
probably further back than yours, even
or even how you're wearing it. That makes a way bigger difference. Totally. And actually, the focal radiance and the Allegia are good examples of this, and the Stellia as well, where the actual sound, like you can even measure this and test it on a rig. The sound changes so dramatically depending on the clamp. We talked about this earlier. And so if you have a larger head, if your head is like chrono shaped, then you're probably going to hear it differently than if your head is, Antdroid shaped. Because the actual coupling is like different, and the drivers are at a different distance to the ear, and these will make a pretty significant difference.
So along that topic, I was talking to Jason a couple days ago, I guess, talking about my Meze Empyrean.
Metal, right?
No, how's that?
Which Jason?
Jason.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah. I was talking to him about the Empyrean review that I wrote in my impressions, and we had a joking battle, I guess, about whether I like it, he doesn't, or he likes it, I don't. I mean, for a while, but it's fun. But he found a set of measurements, I think, from Headphone Labs.
Oh yeah, I saw those. I have those up right now, actually.
Oh yeah, so which showed what the Empyrean measures with glasses and without glasses, and then with a beard and without a beard, and I don't wear glasses and I don't have a beard, obviously. And he does wear it with glasses, and you can see, at least in the measurements of the Headphone Labs guys, that if you wear glasses, the bass is more linear, doesn't have that mid bass hump in it, and then you also reduce the upper treble peak, which are the two things I complained about in my review of it.
See, Tyler's muted.
I said I wear glasses and I still kind of have issues with it.
Wait, so was the conclusion that if you wear glasses it's better?
Mm-hmm. It could be better,
but okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean I like it. I'm just saying that it may change my experience slightly.
Because my problem with it was, I honestly didn't mind the frequency response that much. Like, I know Tyler didn't like the frequency response, and I know you didn't like the frequency response either, for very good reasons, right? Like the bass and the treble, like those are the two problems. But I EQ stuff anyways, so the biggest problem for me was the technical performance was not competitive.
Yeah,
so
that's my ultimate.
You can't like that's the thing. Like, maybe it measures better when you wear glasses, and for the people who wear glasses, they're hearing they're not getting the two problem areas as far as the frequency response or the tonal balance is concerned, right? but I still don't think that that's gonna, help with the lack of, or the, I shouldn't say lack of, because it's still decently resolving. Like it's a upper mid-fi planar kind of level, right? Mm-hmm. But it just not on a competitive level with other $3,500 headphones or whatever it is, $3,000 headphones.
And then I think if you're buying it for the look and comfort, then that could be a value proposition for you.
I gotta say though that there's a lot of headphones that are that expensive that are not competitive like this. But see, the thing is, like, it's not about, and I was talking to the guys from Ultrasound about this, and I was brought up my concern that the details just not as good as what you get with something like a Utopia, and this is around $3,500, right? So comparing that to the Utopia is way more detailed.
Man, Utopia is so good.
It's way more detailed, right? So and his answer was actually that but a lot of people don't actually want that when they're like, they don't want too much detail. They want a more relaxed kind of. Sure. Now I'm the other way. I have a different perspective. I want all the detail all the time. I want Susvara level detail all the time, LCD4 level detail. So, and control and all that stuff. But I think I can understand the perspective that, and I think this is the same thing with a lot of ZMF headphones as well, where in their price brackets, they're not as detailed as what you could potentially get. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they allow for something that, an experience that's potentially more enjoyable and more agreeable for the music that you're listening to.
It kind of boils down to preference as well. Because like I could easily say, like, to me, I would much rather have this and an Aeolus for that same price.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And then, or even just get the Utopia. I mean, I just got the Utopia back from, and I already shipped it out, so it's already. I had it for literally like 8 hours, and I slept most of that time. But I put those on, and like those were just on tour for like, it was just around 8 to 9 months, I want to say. And I got them back, and they still looked fantastic. They still.
Was it the same one that you had for a long time?
That was the one that went on tour.
Wow.
Been for like 8 months on tour.
Okay.
And like, so we just got those back. And then I was like, holy crap, these held up so fantastic. So like the build quality, like a tank, carbon fiber, I think I mentioned it in some of the Discords and some of the chats and stuff, but I was like, it's, they're actually, the Utopia is such a proper total, right? Like, it's just, it sounds really good. It's built.
It's
fantastic.
reference.
Like, it makes the Stelio even look kind of poorly made to some level.
Well, it's better material for everything on the Utopia.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just it feels good in the hand. It sounds
at
fantastic.
the cost of
it's
being
not my preference,
slightly heavier.
It is heavy.
So
it is a heavier headphone.
That's the downside with that.
I do want to make a comment. It took 90 minutes before Tyler started shilling ZMF. That's like a record.
No, actually, somebody mentioned in the comments they were surprised at how good the Auteur was, and I am inclined to agree. Really, like, good. The Auteur, I think, is the best tuning for all the ZMF headphones. Like, I know he has different Zach has all the different headphones because he just wants different tunings, right? Like, he likes different tunings, and what he was going for with the Auteur was that sort of slightly warm take on neutral, and I think he really nailed it. Like, that is like the most neutral of all of the ZMFs. I wish that he'd have had a. What?
So it's weird because like in here, so for people that are on Zoom, we're in different spots, and so like, so when I'm pointing down, I'm actually pointing down at.
Yeah, I have it set up so you guys can. Yeah, we're all facing the right way.
Yeah. So if you see me like pointing like weirdly when people.
Yeah, the point was that I wish that that he made like a Verite with the Auteur tuning. That would be
that would be great.
It'd be great.
I'll buy it.
I'd buy it.
I wonder how that would pan. Because it would basically be like that'd almost be a Utopia, right?
Yeah.
Like
actually, yeah.
I mean,
with wig cups.
With better soundstage.
And better soundstage.
Yeah.
That is true. Like that was my biggest thing. Like the Utopia it's wonderful, and I think it's technically fantastic. Not my preference, but the soundstage, man, is like.
I just see a comment. Crin thinks Verite closed has the best FR, right? For closed back, yeah. But
for closed back, yeah.
But I think the Auteur, the closed, I think, I think the claim is that the closed has a better FR than the open, and I'm inclined to agree.
Yes,
from what
I agree.
Yeah. But out of all of them, I think the O2 is still the one that is the most reference kind of sound. But I mean, I like Ant and I both EQ our Verites. So
Sometimes.
Yeah, I know, and I get what you're saying. Like, I'm actually using it a lot these days with the BE2 Suedes that Zach sent me, and those, I don't know, for whatever, like, I have that same experience where it's like, I know this is not neutral, but I like it. Like, I have that kind of like, oh yeah, I can get used to this.
I have like this weird. I've been ABing the HE6 SE and the Verite back and forth, and the Aria too. But we'll see. The distinction between like the Verite and one of the hi-fi mans is
it's a very different kind of stuff.
It's so different that it's hard to like AB them and get anything, because it takes me, I don't know, a minute to like just adjust to the sound difference.
But you also said the HE6 SE has really good timbre.
It does, yeah. At least for a hi-fi man, it's probably the best I've heard.
I can see that, definitely, yeah.
I also wanted to ask real quick. Ant mentioned it. We need to measure our earwax and make sure that we have.
I think that was a Marcello comment.
Yeah,
actually, but that's a very relevant question, because a relevant point, because not just that, but also like apparently I was talking to Tom from Bunu about this, but apparently like the actual tissue, like the I don't know, like the inner ear tissue can have a certain effect as well. That's
sucked into your cartilages or whatever.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, right? So, and maybe there's some difference there as well that contributes to differences in impression.
I mean, if
so,
you have earwax leaking out of your ear, you probably need.
If your ears are bleeding, you're probably going to hear stuff different.
Lower your decibels.
Oh, here's a good question.
Down from 124. I see a rip and freestyle question. Is that the one you're?
Yeah. Do you want to ask it?
So GL 2000 or the Hi-Fi Man R10P?
Like for headphones, is the question for which headphone I recommend less more? No, I for like overall sound quality, if I was never going to EQ anything, GL 2000 with the default pads, but it is not on the technical performance of the R10P is way better than this.
Do you have the other R10, the dynamic version?
Dynamic.
No, just the planar, just the $5,500 one.
Okay. I'd like to know what the differences are.
Yeah.
Besides just the driver.
Well,
they're
I think
differently
isn't
or
the
not.
dynamic a biodynamic?
I think so.
So probably competing with like the Icon and stuff like that, which is also biodynamic.
TH900.
Yeah. I bet it slams. I bet but I don't know, like that, the Sony design there, the Sony R10 design I'm not a huge fan of that. It looks weird, and it also, I don't know if it's like a good solution to a closeback. Like, I think what Zach did with the Verite closed is a much more sophisticated solution to closing off a headphone than what you get with the R10 stuff.
Well, that was done in the 80s. I mean, let's be real here. They literally took an 80s headphone and just put a planar in it.
The stuff that Hi-Fi Man did last year, I was not too thrilled with, like the Deva and the R10P. Yeah. What about
the drop one? That one was really good.
You mean the Deva?
No,
I still have it here, actually. It's yeah. That's what I used to compare with the Gold Planar. Gold Planar is better than that. It's better than that.
But I mean, the Gold Planars aren't. Even these ones, like I don't want to be. I'm usually pretty positive.
Be spicy.
I try to be positive.
Be your most authentic self.
I just don't. Like, these were grainy to me. They didn't.
They are hazy and grainy in the mids.
Grainy. And especially for the price. I think that's the other factor too. It comes down to that too. Like, if you can get a Sundaro over, I'd pick a Sundaro over this.
Like, I would pick an Alex and an Ananda.
I'd pick an Alex. I mean, there's so many things that you can. Even a Zeus.
Aeon RT. Yeah, I would take an Aeon RT over this, definitely. But
wow. Just kidding.
What?
I'm not a big fan of Dan Clark audio myself, but yeah.
They're over damped, right? It's over dampened or dampened or damp. It's dampened for what we're talking about. Damped is more of an electrical thing. Dampened is the too much resonant blocking. Right? Someone could correct me if I'm wrong about that, but it's what I've always used the term incorrectly.
Oh yeah. Actually, if you guys didn't know, so Marcello has the hex and so
sorry, HEXX or HEX?
HE6SE.
HEK.
HE6SE. That's the
yes.
Hex
HE.
Antdroid has the HE6SE.
Marcello has that too.
Okay,
yeah, so Marcello has that one. Yeah, that thing. And so he was chatting and he was talking about like, oh, I don't like it on this amp, I don't like it on this amp, I don't like it. And so someone's like, well, you have that Nautilus there, throw it on that. And he's like, okay. And he's like, oh, these are amazing on this. I was like, yeah,
$10,000 later.
But actually, one thing that it worked well for him
at a certain point, it becomes more about the amps, especially for something like an HE6, because
this thing is so amp-dicky.
Yeah.
I played this off my Samsung phone.
And reading about that too.
It does get loud enough if you max out the phone.
Yeah.
It sounds awful, but it gets loud enough.
Yeah.
That's another factor. Yes, it can be played.
It also doesn't. It can get pretty loud with the. It can actually get really loud with the Elise OTL.
Yeah.
I can get pretty freaking loud at 50% on the volume knob, but it's pretty bloomy.
My hesitation with tube amps has typically been for like all the inconvenience of like the tiny little parasitic noises from interference and stuff like that in the back, which just seems to be like a common thing. Is the Elise like that?
No, it's dead silent.
Dead silent. Wow.
Really quiet,
yeah. Yep. Even with IEMs.
Crazy.
Is another one that people have been like praising like crazy again. Like I remember like a couple months back or a year, the SW51 out of Poland?
I don't know. I've heard of it.
It's the
P1
SW51.
Oh, okay.
SW51.
Okay.
No, the P1 is fantastic. I really like the P1.
Yeah.
But it's this little tube. It looks like the ZDT Junior from Drop is what it kind of looks like, and it's like $400 I want to say. But everyone's been like ranting and raving about it. It's called the SW51, and it's
okay. Go check that out. I really wish I could get my hands on one of those Felix Audio amps because
they're pretty.
I reached out to them, but I did not get a response, so I don't know what's going on there. So,
you can check maybe
tried
Upscale Audio or something.
Maybe, yeah. But also like maybe they're not. I don't know. Maybe they're just not interested in like.
I know Upscale Audio had a Felix tour on Super Best Audio Friends not too long ago. You can see that thing was still going on. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But I do want to get more into tube amps. Like the experience with the Kenzie has been like eye opening. I mean, I the Pendant was as well, but the Kenzie, the Kenzie is the first one where I've been like, I want this. I want to own this. I mean, I wanted to own the Pendant too, but the Pendant was less. The Pendant was more about like depth and texture, and the Kenzie is more about like euphony and tone and
pulling into a bear hug.
Honestly, detail. Like the thing makes it sound like the headphones are more detailed. Even when I compare it to the Phonitor X or every other amp I have here, it sounds more detailed. And this is where somebody is going to be like, yeah, that's because you're getting an elevated second harmonic distortion, which is making you perceive it as more detailed. No, it does not seem to have an elevated second harmonic distortion. I don't know what it is.
Dude, and like everyone keeps. I need to get one in here, but the Mogwai SE, everyone just rants and raves about that too. So I need to talk to Justin.
Yeah, I need to talk to Justin too because I'm in love with his amps.
Yeah, he has some fantastic stuff, man.
But I wish there was a way to make it so that even with this, the Cayenne here, I wish there was a way. Like I'm sitting here with this is sort of like my stack set up here for like amps and stuff like that, right? Underneath it is my computer, and I'm sure that's having some influence, right? On all that stuff.
It gets noisy,
yeah,
Wi-Fi and stuff.
Yeah, it's not that bad with the Kenzie. This one is worse though. The Cayenne is pretty noticeable for that. But
you know, it's crazy. Mine was not that bad for a while, and then like I moved it around, and I kind of came back, and I wonder if because I rearranged everything, and all of a sudden, I got tons of noise randomly.
Well, the Kenzie does that too, where it seems to be totally random. Like I'll just be sitting there, not having changed anything, and at complete random, I hear the little interference sound coming in. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then the rest of the time it's totally silent. I'm like, what did I do?
And once you hear it, it's like you just focus. It's like a dripping water at night, right? Or
I'm not even and I'm not even getting like notifications on my phone or anything. There's no other signal going on. I changed literally nothing.
so with my Elise, I have it on a separate cabinet over there, but I have 2 really big like fans. CPU fans on it right next to it to kind of blow the air away, and I can't hear it. It doesn't
really.
Doesn't transfer over, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, Felix stuff has no, like, I've never heard anyone say any problems with noise. So.
See, I want to talk to Justin because he's very knowledgeable about this kind of stuff and why that might happen. So I gotta.
It does depend on the tubes. The tubes do.
Well, that I'm sure. Yeah, these are from World War II. So seriously,
you can get like the nuclear warhead tubes. Have you seen those ones that are made to be?
Are they also from World War II? Because that would not.
Maybe, and like,
it's really dark. No, Marcella says put your cell phone away. Yeah, I my cell phone was actually in the other room when I was testing this. Like I went to look at my cell phone to see if I'd got notifications, if that had like caused the issue. But it was actually like over in the next like charging. So I don't know what caused it. So yeah, I got to talk to Justin to figure out why that happens sometimes, and then also just other things about tube amps, because it's like this is a rabbit hole that I need to understand.
I love my T4 too, but then that sucks because that one is going away. Like they can't make them anymore because they don't make the parts for them anymore.
Right,
which sucks.
Right.
They only had a short run of them because that's really good. Yeah. It's a hybrid though, so that one's fantastic. You had zero noise for that one too.
Sorry, Rocky asks, is it the OG or the Encore? It's the OG, Kenzie. Which there are a few differences. I think the Encore, they made it more versatile and they made it so it can function as a pre. And they also, or maybe they added speaker outs. I'm not sure, but there's some different functionality there. And then they also, I think, changed the outputs, like the position of the outputs, which for good reason.
And then Justin's a big fan of like just dumping iron into them too, like the special editions and stuff. So and then that makes a big difference. If
I had to like make an analogy, the Kenzie is like, have you heard of those like sushi restaurants that you can go to in Japan where it's like $100 a plate, and it's like the master of simple ingredients, and it's just like they just take so much care even with the simplest ingredients to make something amazing. That's kind of what it makes me think of, where it's like there's a simplicity to it and a no nonsense to it, with good ingredients. Whereas like if I compare it to the Cayenne thing, which is also interesting for different reasons, this is way more about all the different impedances that you can have and the different outputs and whatever else. It's more dressed up, and it looks like a boat. It's got this.
It was pretty. It's very pretty.
Yeah. So
and last round makes a good point too. Like whenever I do use optical when I
optical. You have to ground loop issues and whatnot with DACs is
and they'll come from anything. The USB stuff. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I think if I was using like a iPad to play music off of, I don't know, maybe that wouldn't be as much of an issue. But you get so much interference from power supplies and whatever else if you're using USB, but you don't. That's the reason to go balanced from the DAC to the amp, because if you go balanced, it completely gets rid of that.
Yes. Yeah. That was an issue on the 890 using RCA.
Yeah, it was actually really bad on the 890. Yeah. But I noticed it I can hear it on the Phonitor as well, going RCA. No, sorry, not the Phonitor. Phonitor's fine. It's when I had the D90, topping D90.
You know what the D90 was actually a good. I like that DAC
amp.
What it was.
Sorry, DAC. DAC. What am I talking about? No, it wasn't the D. It was the Soundware P1. I had it at the same time that I had the D90, and I was using them together. Yes. And with RCA, there was a ground loop issue there as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But as soon as I used balanced, it's all fine.
Dude, the P1, man, that thing.
Way too much power for everything.
So much power.
I was like, oh god.
And it's small.
I had to the volume was just barely. Turn
that's
down
what I need for my
volume.
I think that's what I need for my Hi-Fi Man here.
No, I bet you that would be a good pairing with the Hi-Fi Man.
Probably would be.
That thing was.
I'm happy on my $2,400 amp.
It got real hot too, though. Like the P1 got.
Yeah, P1 got warm. Yeah. I'm freezing right now. The Sony,
you wish you had a P1 here.
I wish.
Just put your hand.
It's not even keeping my buns warm.
Yeah.
People didn't know I have buns, like bakery buns. That's what.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your butt. All right, we should probably dive into some questions from the chat here because we've been rambling on for ages. Guys, if you have questions for Antdroid, Tyler, myself, leave them in the chat, but leave a question mark so that we know where to look.
Question mark.
But I see it all the time. Actually, people like leave a question, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good question," but there's no question marks. So I miss it.
Yeah. Because when I'm speed reading for that stuff, we're
looking for question marks. We should probably.
There's a lot of questions early on, but
we should definitely enable super chat, like with where people can like. I don't want to take money from people. But I don't want questions to be like
unique issues, right?
Yeah, I don't want to like have questions be gated by whether or not people are willing to pay. So,
and donate the money.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
But then you have to run into that issue, like who you donate to. I mean, that's another beast of a burden, man.
Antdroid.net.
Well, no, it would probably go to a fund for like getting headphones that I can't normally get, right? Something like that.
That's actually a good point.
Like getting for review units,
getting
and stuff like
that you can't.
Yeah,
that'd be a good way to do it.
All right, so let's see.
Gold Planner review incoming.
yeah, I'll do a review of it. Anthony's already done one. GL2000 plus L30 equals endgame, literally.
Literally, yeah.
Only if the L30 has a serial number above 2000.
I'm envisioning the Cyberpunk commercial from the game where the guy's in the airplane like, oh, and like lightning.
I still need to get that game. Okay. I saw another question. It was a really good one. I totally missed it. Can surround sound systems be used for music effectively, or does it still play as stereo? Maybe without utilizing all the speakers. I'm not sure what that.
Can surround systems be used?
So it depends on the music, because it has to be a surround sound music, right? Like, cause I play in my movie room sometimes music, and it will automatically.
You mean for headphones or what? Like
receiver.
I'm confused.
We'll switch the sole surround sound on my speaker system into just 2.1.
I'm assuming he's talking about a speaker system. But
okay.
I'm assuming speakers.
When I listen to music on, I used to have a 7.2. I don't anymore. I would listen to music in 2-channel and then switch off to movie mode.
Movies are that's what it's for.
Yeah.
Is for
Yeah.
But I got to say, I mean, I like binaural recordings. They sound really cool.
Yeah, if it's recorded in 5.1 or 7.1, then yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That joke. I do like binaural. Like, there's one I had that was really fantastic. It was something stars. I'll have to share it with you guys. It's really good. I really like this. A lady, she's walking around singing while the band's kind of in a circle playing. It's really cool.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
It's La Luna. I think La Luna is what it's called. Is the name of the track.
I'm thinking of Amber Rhubarb.
And then there's Amber Rhubarb. Yeah. Where the flute and that one's really good too.
Yeah. Actually, the Abyss YouTube channel with DMS's stuff, where he walks around the thing, the microphone with he's got a cajon and he's hitting the cajon. That's a pretty cool binaural recording. Yeah. We're testing soundstage. All right. I saw lots more questions here. The power of OTL is not the same as of the solid state. It probably depends on the amp. The downside with OTL is that it's less versatile because you don't have a step down transformer. That's the wrong term, but you know what I mean, right? You don't have it's not transformer coupled, so you just have the full tube. Let's see. Whoever answers first gets the dough for the question. That's if we have the super chat. We're just talking over each other. All right, let's see. Which amp DAC, I assume, would you guys recommend for IEMs? It's a good question.
I really like the
amp
Sony
DACs.
But that's not really combo. Like the all-in-one. RME, fantastic
RME.
for IEMs.
I use
like the Sony. Really good.
I use my DAB mostly for IEMs nowadays.
I would have said Micro Black Label because it's got that eco mode, but there are also even some IEMs that's too much for. And it's pretty versatile with it's got the ultra mode, but I find that is not the greatest for like really sensitive IEMs. Like, I don't know.
So, similar question, similar topic, but I've been using A90 for a while. And I think you guys know I hate the A90. I sold it. But the A90 for most part, with most of my IEMs, I didn't really care. It sounded fine. And then I listened to Odin without the A90. And then I've been using my DAP mostly to listen to it. And then I finally plugged it into A90 and it ruined the Odin experience for me.
Yeah. But ASR says it's good. Okay, so these are the examples that I think people need to understand. But yeah, the other one I was thinking of is actually apparently the Rebel amp. It's not a DAC amp, but as far as I know, but apparently the Rebel amp is really good with IEMs too. It's like really silent.
TT2 is pretty good too, but actually a little bit noisy.
Oh yeah, the Chord Hugo is probably
Chord,
yeah. The Jotunheim 2 is really good, I think too. Okay. Just got it
out of the balanced out.
Either one. It has really low noise, so
really? Okay.
It works well with IEMs.
I was gonna say maybe with the Tin Hi-Fi P2.
Yeah. Just got that back.
Super Review says no, not the Sony MDR V6 and
that's the CD900. Super.
Yeah.
CD900.
Good to see you in the chat. Super.
Hey, buddy.
And thanks for coming on the other day. It was awesome.
I found it.
You found more questions?
No, I found the track I was looking for. Listen to you guys.
All right. This is always what happens is like there's great questions and I lose my place because it keeps scrolling. What's that? Oh, okay, yeah. Are those the Pro?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah.
I need to. Somebody asked in the chat. That's what I was gonna say. Somebody asked in the chat if I was gonna review the Galaxy Buds.
You should.
Pro. Yeah, I'd like.
It'll probably come out in Canada in like 3 months. But
yeah, I know. I was gonna say. Yeah, I'll probably get them in. I wanted to actually get Precog to do a review of those.
But he doesn't have a Android phone.
Oh no.
Yeah. So from what I heard from our insider is they don't have an iOS app.
That's what I saw that. Yeah. Our insider, is that just people on Twitter?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I heard that as well. But
someone who may work on this product.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. No, I was looking at some of the comments from Sean Olive on Twitter. That's why I was yeah.
It doesn't really follow the Sean Olive curve though.
It doesn't know. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit more warm.
Okay, but how's the detail?
It's good. It's have you heard the Sony WF?
No, but
XM3?
But Metal swears by that. So
yeah, it's very similar FR and sound to that, but I think better technical performance.
Cool. Okay.
Less shouty.
I'll probably get it because I've been looking for a TWS. To go I don't look like I do this, but to go jogging with so hopefully that can be the one for me because everything else hasn't been. I tried to go jogging with my Andromeda a long time ago and I was like, nope, this is a terrible experience.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Precog uses the Android. He uses the DX, right?
That's right. Yeah, he could use the DX 160.
Oh yeah,
good point.
Yeah.
Now he has to get it.
Yeah,
well played.
I don't see that many questions. What? Okay, what would you say is the best Summit-Fi closed cans?
Whatever, Tyler.
He's got both. He's got Stellia and VC.
And the Stellia.
I would take VC.
Barrett closed or Stellia would be my top two picks, but the VC does win for me overall.
I do think Stellia is probably more detailed.
Well, I gotta say, for a DB,
I have another answer for you guys, and both of you know what it is, but nobody else does, and they won't.
Oh, yeah.
Was that like Nighthawk or something?
No.
Night Owl.
We were joking about it earlier. Yeah. It's the one that will not be named. That is, it gets up. No, okay. My answer is probably going to be an EQ'd LCD XC, but but mine's in the shop right now. So, yeah, now you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, an EQ'd LCD XC is probably my. So what I did is I was talking to Sankar about it, and he recommended that because I wanted it to be lighter because it's really heavy, and he recommended that I go with the carbon cups. So I'm gonna see if it works out. And I also got to get that carbon headband.
Cups or carbon
cups because it's no, but for the XC, because there's the new ones are all carbon, and the old ones are that sort of wood. And I actually took the wood pieces off and weighed them, and they weighed about, I think, 35 grams each. So that was about 70 grams. So I thought to myself, well, if I take the cups off, it becomes an LCD-X kind of, but it's not quite, and it loses a lot of the bass punch when you take the cups off. So no.
Well, yes and no. It's a good platform to work off of.
Yeah. But so anyways, the carbon fiber headband is also going to reduce the weight by about 15 grams, which is really not that much, but I think it's probably worth doing. It's just that it's really expensive. I think it's like $200 or something like that, but
Harman curve.
Probably worth it. All right, let's see more questions. We'll make a review of the gold planer. Yeah, of course. Super review. Makes sense. Yeah.
You'll probably get a lot of fan mail for the gold planer review.
It's been a controversial one, man. I think it's because a lot of people bought into the hype right away and then they bought it. And when you hear something that is contrary to the hype, it's like, no, wait, I put my money down for that.
Yeah. Someone told me this is good. You're telling me it's bad. There must be something wrong.
But like, I think
with you.
I think that's kind of the downside with it. That's why I don't know, I urge caution regardless of who it is who's giving the review. Like, even if you're like, whether you trust me, whether you trust Antdroid or Tyler or whatever, like, just I think exercise caution, like not caution, patience. That's the word. Exercise patience, because there is a lot of stuff that gets hyped up that ends up being more flavor of the month, and you don't necessarily know if that's the most durable or most enduring.
Or not your preference either. Too.
Well, there's that too. You don't know what that is until you get it, I suppose.
Even if you align a lot with that reviewer, there's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be, like, for instance, Elnick likes the Empyreans a lot, and I do not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And him and I actually share a lot in similarities with our gear that we like. Trying to think who else.
Yeah.
Even Torque, like he's big on the.
Yeah, he likes the AirPods Max, and I think it's crap.
Yeah, there you go.
But I like his takes on other stuff too. So
I like Hi-Fi Man, and Tyler doesn't.
Yeah. Exactly.
I liked Hi-Fi Man.
All the IEM recommendations I take from that. So I like, so his over ears are just, his opinions on those are bad, and his in ears are good.
No. But see, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, and even like among all the other reviewers that are out there, like many of us know one another, and we're friends generally. And we'll disagree. Like the people I really trust are Antdroid, of course, and Kryn and Metal 571. But even amongst that group, I mean, we have different impressions, right? And we like different things too. I actually think Ant and I probably align on a lot of our.
I think you guys are probably more.
Yeah. Even Metal and I will have different preferences. So.
Rip and Freestyle asks, when are we going to get Amir on for a live stream?
I was open to it at one point, but I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Would he even come on to a live show?
I don't know. I don't want to like put someone on a platform to then just have a argument about.
To be controversial.
Yeah. And I don't want people to attack him either.
That's not the platform you want.
I've met him a few times in person before. He's pretty nice. He's easy. Yeah, I'm sure he's actually pretty easy to talk to.
Totally fine dude. Like I imagine that
he's very talkative, but he's
it's funny because
easy
like talkative or like more than me talkative.
I don't know.
That's hard. It's hard to beat that. Yeah.
But see, like when he was doing just amp and DAC stuff, measurements, right? I always had this opinion of that, like, that stuff is still very important information. Like, it's important to know the way that a DAC and an amp measures, right? regardless of what people's subjective takes are on that stuff, it was useful information. It was data, right? With the headphone stuff, I don't think he's providing any data that doesn't already exist, at least as far as I can tell. Like, I know he's doing distortion plots and stuff like that, but the data is already there for that. And so now, really, it just leaves me with kind of a sour taste as far as like the data redounding to the conclusions that he ends up with. It just seems like cherry picking at this point. And so I'm
very cherry picking.
Yeah, so I'm not like with the DAC and amp stuff, I'm on board with like what his project is, but with the headphone stuff, I'm very much not. So that's kind of where I lost the plot a little bit with that, with his stuff.
I don't mind just looking at the data, just like ratings.com.
Like that's
ratings.com, same way. I just look at the graphs and the data.
Absolutely. Ratings is another great example of that, where it's like I would never take the conclusions of their reviews seriously, but I love the database and the graphs and all that stuff and the comparisons that they're able to do. And also they measure a ton of other stuff, which is really important, like, you know, leakage and isolation and I think they were even getting into like at one point they were getting into group delay as well, which I've been told many times is not something we should care about with headphones. But
ASR is using it now.
I know, I saw that too. It's funny to see what people use in like this from the like measurement side of things and what people so like going back to that Empyrean headphone test lab thing. I can't remember what the name was that you referenced, Antdroid.
Yeah, headphone test lab.
Is it? Okay, yeah. So they were doing all this kind of stuff with like CSD as well, right? And then if you read what Chocomel's written about CSD and its limitations, it's a very compelling reason to not care about CSD and not really worry about publishing those measurements. So I think it because there doesn't seem to be like a consensus for what matters and what doesn't. It's difficult to take all the non-frequency response related stuff as having the same kind of value, because I think there's a lot of debate about that. Whereas at least with frequency response, that seems to be fairly well agreed upon that this is the most important metric.
I think for me, just in my own hobbyist measuring database I have, is FR is the only one that I can consistently get the same data for.
Shit. No, we need also the impedance bump. So we need to get a resistor, because the impedance bump for headphones is really important, and I don't have the ability to do that yet.
Outside of consistency and having like set standards, I think, right? Is what I got out of that.
No, it's no. I shouldn't be as critical, because I think there are good things there, right? But at the same time, like it's more that this stuff hasn't been as figured out as many claim it to be, and it just it's not.
Well,
there's so much more to it.
Like sometimes when you see a measurement, you're like, wow, it doesn't sound like that at all. Like it, or not at all, but like it you might have looked at that and go, oh, that won't sound good, but then listen to it and go, it actually
but part of that is also because there's a chance that there's a unique coupling factor that the measurement isn't taking into consideration.
But the other sorry, that's what I'm also trying to get at, is like there's so many other factors to it.
Yep. It's a lot easier to measure like in ears than headphones.
Yes, this is
a million times easier.
Yeah. But actually, it's interesting because I think Jude does use the PINA for his IEM measurements.
It's pretty even when I tried using the fake ear, it's still pretty consistent. I mean, as long as you get a good seal and fit in there. But for my measurements, I just take it off because it's more consistent without it.
Yeah. Oh, and it's easier to do. You don't have to, take 5 measurements and make sure the seating is right.
Best imaging and soundstage headphones when asked.
HD800S,
HD800, and or the HD700 for even cheaper, but just to be prepared that it's not going to be the best for music.
Sorry, I see a comment here. I'm wondering about the consistent quality on the magnets in the gold planar. Reading reviews makes me think they may have high unit variance. I haven't seen unit variance yet. I haven't, like, from the measurements that I've seen, So both ants. Wait, yours line up with Crin's, don't they, for the single-sided one?
Close enough, I think.
Close enough, yeah. Same with. I mean, with planars, there's always a little bit of unit variation, and like, yeah, it's a bit more finicky there. But this one measures somewhat similar to your the single-sided one, right? So not totally the same, but also because this is double-sided, maybe that has an influence there. But there's a very good chance that because the tuning is done often with pads and the rest of the stuff, that the frequency response is pretty similar across the board. The other thing to keep in mind with the gold planars, though, is that there are two different pads and they measure differently. So you may see measurements with one set of pads, and then you'll see a different measurement and it's with the other set of pads, and then this accounts for the difference. And someone else says, just want to say that GL2000 might still have some potential, and if it takes my last roll of toilet paper to tube them up, then so be it. I don't know if are you suggesting that you're not going to be buying toilet paper because you're saving money. I don't know if that's a good idea.
No, toilet paper is a widely used mod for T50s.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
other planars that are cheap, and I use from experience.
How do you feel about the fact that your videos on FR curves and Harman curve specifically are what objective pilled me? So it's interesting because a lot of people have claimed that I'm an objectivist because I use measurements, but I am not an objectivist. And the reason is because we've talked about this a little bit before, but the reason is because like all that stuff about like what sound does, that people say, oh, sound is subjective. It's not subjective. What sound does is a measurable phenomenon, and human hearing is measurable, and you can figure that out. You can analyze that in so many different ways. But the experience is, people's experiences, what the brain is getting, what you're perceiving, that is uniquely subjective. That is categorically subjective. And what I'm trying to do with the videos on the channel is report that, right? Now, I'm correlating it with the data and the objective stuff because I think that stuff's really important. But, the bottom line for me is still going to be the experience. So, and the other side of it too is that I am not able to draw a perfect straight line between the objective data and my experience in all cases. There are some cases where I can, but there are definitely things that are missing from the objective analysis and the data as far as my experience goes, right? So I'm not able to correlate it as perfectly as I'd like to. So maybe one day in the future, if I have more and better measurement tools and we do run those analyses and make those correlations, maybe then I'll be able to say, perfectly, this is what's responsible for this part of the experience. But I don't think anybody is there yet, even with the 5128s. I don't know. Maybe you guys have a different take on that. But
I'm all about the experience myself, so.
I know Tyler doesn't care about all of them.
But I will admit, like I have become more.
Yeah.
Where I talk more about where those things fit and where I think they fall. I was talking to Ann about this.
You're brainwashing him now.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Well, it's because we post in our measurement Slack channel, and now he's fixed.
Yeah, I'll try to place it, but then I always say like I'm probably wrong, and go check myself or Ann's opinion before you follow mine on the frequency stuff.
I mean, like I said earlier, like if I looked at the Odin graph, I wouldn't like it, but I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's my favorite IEM.
Well, but actually, if you, I mean, part of that is because IEM targets aren't really that well defined. I mean, there's Crin's target and there's your target, but I think, and then there's
my target's the best. Yeah, my target's is already the objective best target out there. Yeah.
Although maybe not now because of Odin.
Oh yeah.
Odin's actually pretty close to my target. It's just that upper mid range.
Yeah, just slight bloom there. Yeah. Okay, let's see. What do you guys think of R2R DACs? I do not have experience with R2R DACs.
I like R2Rs.
I would like to.
I'm a big fan.
I used the Bifrost too. So
yeah, Bifrost 2 is fantastic.
I need to get
technically the chord is not an R2R.
Wait, is
their own little thing?
Yiggy is, Gunger is. Do I have another?
Socris.
Oh, Socris. I need to talk to Ryan about that because I would love to try it.
Yeah, the new one just came out.
Yeah.
Well, depending on what happens next week, I might, because right now my Bifrost is just sitting in my stereo setup. Maybe I can send the Bifrost up to you.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I need to just try more. There's so many different DACs I want to try, because so far my experience extends to off-the-shelf chips and Chord.
Yeah.
And that's about it. So
Chord is fantastic. I really like the Chord DACs.
Yeah.
But Bifrost 2, by the way,
is
bang for your buck, best DAC you can get.
There is a ton of variation though, even within the off-the-shelf DAC stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. Someone asks, headphone ranking list when? Yeah, we have one, but it's more a matter of figuring out how to display it.
You have a headphone ranking list?
I have a ranking list, yeah.
Wow.
I can show you a preview of it. I have a ranking. So the idea with the ranking list is, rather than having it just be a ranking of like, here's the best to worst, it's what does best at a given category. So I have, and you can the goal is to have it be so you can select what your priorities are, whether it's detail, soundstage dynamics, frequency response, comfort, all that kind of stuff, timbre, right? So I do kind of like an index score, and whatever you input as your priorities, it'll spit out a different ranking for that. Then I also have my own based on my preferences, so which is sort of like the default there. But it includes...
So you copied my proprietary.
Oh, was it you? Oh, did you do that? I'm pretty sure I came up with this idea a long time ago, but you've already got it. Already got it done.
So I win.
So you win, yeah. No, but also, so mine factors in Chronos as well. So Chrono and we've been talking about it, and we tried to get to a consensus as much as we could, because we also have different preferences. So, and then there's also an element for or a space there for some comments, and where reviewers can sort of give their like short Cole's notes, not unlike what Crin's doing, but rather than having it just be split out to like frequency response and then technical performance, the technical performance gets broken down into different categories too. Because for some people, they don't care about dynamics, and all they ever want to listen to is the Aeon RT. Some people. I feel like I'm just it's digs at Amir the whole time, which is a little bit unfair because he's not here to defend himself.
Not touching you. Yeah. I'm not touching you.
No, but I'm past the point of caring all that much. I mean, it's not. I don't think he cares either. GL 2000 for best soundstage imaging, slam, and low extension. I'm coming for you, Chewbacca. I'm not quite sure I understand the Chewbacca reference. That's Zeus's cat, isn't it?
Oh
my god.
I was worried about this too. I'm like, it must be some reviewer I don't know.
I haven't watched his stuff in a long time.
I haven't watched it in years, to be honest.
No, people ask me about this a lot, and they say, well, wait, are you deliberately going after him? Because I didn't actually know that he said the Panda was good. I had no idea. But the reality is, like, we don't... Wait, what is this? Oh, I should get a GoPro and then...
Yeah.
No.
I don't have a GoPro,
but like, I was going to say, the reality is he's doing a totally different kind of thing. Like, I don't... Yeah. You got to attach it to a gimbal.
Heavy.
And like have the gimbal connected to your head. But yeah, I think he's just doing something totally different from what we're trying to do. So, and I'm sure it's effective. But no, we're not. We're doing a different thing, and I think that's fine. Do you also acknowledge that you still have so much to learn? Absolutely. That's at the forefront of every article. That a lot of this is like, it's like what we know so far, and when there's new information that comes to light, like for example the CSD conversation, that stuff looks so compelling. It looks like it means something, and for the longest time I was on the CSD train, like, hey, this is better than this because look at the CSD, right? And here's how we can correlate it with detail. But then when you read the stuff from Floyd Toole from yesteryear, and then also what Chonkamel's put together, it indicates that that's because headphones are minimum phase devices in most cases. That means that it doesn't actually, the time domain stuff is proportional to frequency response. And so if you fix the frequency response, you fix the CSD. Now, the other side of that, where this gets even more interesting, and there's still way more to learn, as what the question was asking, is that there's all kinds of, or there's a very good chance that in many cases, headphones are only mostly minimum phase devices. And then this is where suddenly CST becomes relevant again. Like I would have a hard time imagining that the RAL SR1A has the same, you know what I mean? Like I can see that as being a different type of device where time domain information is not proportional. But what do I know?
So there's two things that were like funny that you said, but like last round I asked, there's two things I want to bring up.
We asked about tubes as well.
Are we always learning, right? Like, do you feel like at what point do you feel like you're a master of reviewing? And me personally, I don't think I'm a master of reviewing at all. Like I'm a dude that likes listening to music and gear, so that's definitely out of my realm. But like, I think I'm always continuously learning, and in general, right? So, oh Jesus.
When I make an algorithm to write reviews for me, that's when I'll be
Sound good, mids good, highs good, bass good.
See, I love
tables good.
See, Antdroid is actually the best reviewer because he's found ways of making concise reviews that use the term poopy to describe sound
or chocolate. And then
but no, I mean he makes a good point. I mean it's even I'm just thinking like a year ago I didn't know a fraction of what I know now, and a year before that I did not know a fraction of what I knew then. So like every week, every day is an opportunity to learn a new thing. I mean, one of the great things that I'm so fortunate to be doing this now is that I've learned so much more about. So, for example, even just like how dynamic driver headphones, how there's so much difference and variation in moving coil transducers, and then also all the stuff that I've been reading about from the Audio Engineering Society. There's just if you ever want to get into this stuff, that is like such a great resource for learning and for knowledge. I mean, not all of it is stuff that I think is like necessarily correct, but there, like for example, all the like everybody references the Harman research as like this is like the best sound, and it's like okay, but just because it's academic and peer reviewed doesn't necessarily mean that it's right. But I do think that it is still very interesting and incredibly useful. So
one of the things I was talking to the one of the guys who works at Samsung, and he was talking about the challenges that it takes to making the original Galaxy Buds and the Galaxy Buds Plus, and then trying to go to the Pro and having to deal with active noise cancellation as another factor when you're trying to tune his thing. And that's like something that was quite challenging, I guess, for them to do.
Yeah. There's lots of that kind of stuff, and even with this one, which is it also has some unique stuff that I was learning about just talking with the guys, the designers, or designer. Super asks, do you guys have any other hobbies outside of audio? Well, I know Tyler does. Antdroid, what are apart from snowboarding? With
snowboarding, I'm a huge sports fan. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I had season tickets to the Seattle Seahawks football team.
You excited for the Kraken?
The Kraken, yeah. I haven't followed a whole lot recently, but I probably will now that the Seahawks are out of the playoffs. And Sounders, I had season tickets to the Sounders before COVID. And
Kraken is next year, I think.
Yeah.
This
they had their draft, or they're having their draft coming up, I think. Yeah. Huge football, Arsenal, soccer.
I can't.
Sadly,
I can't get into soccer. It's just.
See, I played soccer.
I used to play soccer.
I played like crazy, and I was on traveling teams. I actually came up to Bellingham a lot when I was a kid to play on as a guest player for different tournaments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to play that. Like I love soccer, but I can't. It's hard for me. I watched the World Cup stuff, but I can't watch. And I don't watch sports in general. Like I think that's because I would rather be playing them. Rather, like to me, it's boring unless I'm actually involved.
This is like people watching people play video games.
Yeah, like
it's not the same.
No, I agree with that. It's not quite the same.
I can't watch people play video games because there's too much stuff going on the screen.
I can get into watching sports if I'm with friends. Like if I'm watching by myself, I'm not going to watch it unless it's like a UFC fight or something like that.
Dude,
but
I used to watch like people on Twitch all the time. I used to watch tournaments. Like super into watching people play because I couldn't do what they could do.
And that's
there's an element of that, right?
Yeah, and same with like some of the sports stuff. Like when I'm by myself, I'd rather be doing something else. I'd rather be doing something active for myself, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I need to be doing more of that. That's what I gotta get those Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro. That's the only reason. Wait, Galaxy Buds Plus?
Pro.
Yeah. They're gonna have a Galaxy Buds Pro Max, Ultra.
Are very diverse. I have a lot of hobbies. I'm a collector of hobbies. But my conflict right now when we're talking about it is
what am I doing?
UFC. UFC's right. Yeah, I'm into whiskeys. I'm into photography is another big one. I really enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
The guys have some really nice whiskey that I tried.
They got some fantastic whiskeys.
Really nice.
My coffee
collection got completely decimated over COVID. But
guys, we've been going on for about 2.5 hours now. We should probably cut it there. But a big thanks to everybody in the chat for asking your questions and for coming and hanging out. If we didn't get to your question,
Green Bay.
What's that?
Sorry.
Did you say? Okay.
Green Bay.
But I was gonna say if we didn't get to your question, we'll try to answer it in the next one and just ask it again, because I noticed there was a lot of good questions earlier on and we just did not get a chance to answer them. So we'll try and get there on the next one. But yeah, big thanks of course to Antdroid and Tyler. So we'll see you guys in the next live stream. Go enjoy watching the UFC. Super.